commentary this evening from the Supercup final in Athens, Manchester City against Sevilla. And John Murray has the team news.
Yes, the teams are preparing out on the pitch in front of us on what's a very warm evening here in the Greek capital. And Manchester City's two big summer signings so far both start the match. There's a full debut for City for Gvardiol at the back, and Kovacic plays from the start again, having been in the team for the Community Shield the weekend before last and coming on as a substitute against Burnley. So in the absence of De Bruyne, it's Foden and Kovacic who are in midfield with Rodri. So the City team: Ederson, Walker, Akanji, Gvardiol and Ake, Rodri, Foden and Kovacic. Cole Palmer starts the match, Jack Grealish as well, and Erling Haaland. So that's 4 changes from the Burnley team from Friday night. Bernardo Silva, by the way, not involved at all. We're told that that's because he is ill. And John Stones, Diaz and Laporte are all among the substitutes tonight. And Sevilla, a couple of lines on them. They are without their former Manchester City midfielder Fernando because of illness. So Joan Jordan plays there, and Oliver Torres is in for the former Liverpool midfielder Suso in the attacking midfield role. So just a couple of changes for them from their first league match on Friday night when they lost to Valencia. But also the goalkeeper Bono, the Moroccan World Cup star, is playing, even though it looks as though he's Saudi Arabia bound.
And Emeric Laporte could be Saudi Arabia bound as well. They've accepted an offer for him today of Manchester City from Al Nassr. But Don Hutchison alongside John Murray in Athens for us this evening. They get stronger at the back though, don't they, with Gvardiol?
Well, they do, and I think the signing of Gvardiol, I think, makes John Stones a player that Pep Guardiola will really now value in his squad, because all of a sudden John Stones now turns into 3 different players. He turns into a right back, a centre half and a number 8. So the signing of Gvardiol, even though they're going to lose Laporte, is a very, very good signing.
But actually Neil Lennon is with us as well this evening, former Celtic manager. You know, Gvardiol's ability on the ball means that he might give them a few options as well. I mean, the versatility of some of these players is frightening.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's ready to step into that midfield role, Chappers, the way John Stones does, but he's a sensational player. In the World Cup, I thought he was outstanding, and he's been a regular for Leipzig, and he's just improving all the time. But his main performances for me have come in playing for Croatia, either in the World Cup or the Nations League. I'm not sure he's ready to be as versatile as John Stones is yet, but it could be a possibility going forward.
Well, particularly if you throw in Ake as well and Akanji. I mean, Stones is a different matter, isn't he? But you've got defenders there who you could put them in and Kyle Walker tonight. You put them in a lineup, Don, and you do well to guess where they might all end up.
Lewis as well.
Well, it's amazing when you think what Guardiola's had over the years, and he had Xavi Martinez at Bayern, who is a midfield player, but he played him sometimes at the back. He'd done the same with Mascherano when he had him at Barcelona. Philip Lahm was another intelligent player that was a right back come central midfield. So it's a trait, I think, of Guardiola over the years, especially now when I think for the very first time, Chappers, I think Man City have started to come back towards the pack in terms of the Premier League. Having lost Mahrez, having lost Gundogan, who just turned into prime Zidane the last 3 months of every single season, on top of then losing Kevin De Bruyne for 4 months to a bad injury, it feels now that City, when you look at their bench, even though there's some players on there like Ruben Diaz, John Stones, Rico Lewis and Julian Alvarez, they're probably the only 4 on that bench would be serious starters for Man City. So the squad, and I'll say this very loosely, for Man City looks a little bit thin. So I wouldn't be surprised, having lost Kevin De Bruyne, if they do move in this transfer market for 1 or 2 quality players. Lucas Paquetá might be one of them.
Neil, do they need to go out to replace De Bruyne for that 4 months? Is the answer within them?
Listen, he's irreplaceable, Choppers. But I do think they will go and add to the squad anyway, because they can. And, you know, looking at Guardiola's comments, he's been talking to Cheeky Bagiristan. I'm sure he's been talking for weeks about strengthening the squad anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised. I agree with Don, they're a little bit later than they were this time, at the start of last season, but I do think they will go into the transfer market and strengthen. I am concerned about De Bruyne though. You know, he finished the season, you know, with a lot of injuries, and you know, for him to be out for 4 months now with a hamstring, that's a worry for me in terms of, has he had enough rest? You know, this might be a good time for him to get that rest, even though it's unwarranted. But you do worry about the fatigue of some of these top players now.
When you say coming back to the pack, Don, is it all relative?
What do you mean?
I mean, well, you can come back to the pack but still be ahead of the pack.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's relative in terms of if you had to say who you think your favourites for the Premier League. I would imagine the majority of us would say Man City. I just mean in terms of when you've looked at Man City over the years, to Neil's point, you've looked at a bench and you've gone, there's about $500 million sitting on the bench there. So for the first time, with the likes of Chelsea spending $1 billion over 15 months of the Todd Bowley, Liverpool are trying to strengthen, they're going in a different direction. Man United are getting stronger, Arsenal have spent $200 million, they're getting stronger as well, and nearly pushed Man City last season. So it just feels as though this summer there's been a little bit of turmoil. There was rumours of Kyle Walker potentially going to Bayern. That seriously can't happen now, having lost Kevin De Bruyne and the guys that I mentioned like Mahrez and Gundogan. There's been too much turmoil. Laporte's another one that's going to go out this summer. So the squad and the players that he's got now, he can't afford to lose any more. And in my opinion, I think it needs to strengthen, because I agree with Neil. I think when you watch Kevin De Bruyne play at his best, there's no one in the world plays the game like him. You can say, well, Phil Foden's tricky and Pep loves him in the number 10 position, but if you close your eyes and you think, right, I've just seen, or someone's just told you, a Kevin De Bruyne assist, you can close your eyes, you know where he is, right side 18-yard box, whipping balls hard and low, or through the angles, or a dink ball towards Haaland at the far post. No one really does that. Kovacic doesn't do it. Bernardo Silva's a lefty, so he hasn't got the same range of pass on that side, and likewise Jack Grealish plays on the left-hand side, so it is a bit of a problem. That's why he's been linked with Paquetá.
It's not quite the same chilled vibe in the background in that stadium in Athens that it was in the hotel that Rachel Yankee was in earlier. Don Hutchison and John Murray are there, full commentary of the Super Cup final to come here on 5 Live. We are 8 minutes or so away from kickoff. John Murray and Don Hutchison are there. Neil Lennon is with us as well. Let's just hear from the Manchester City manager. Here's Pep Guardiola on their hunger for more silverware.
Man City never get that trophy because we have to win Champions League, Europa League to be here, to be invited to be here. So that's why I think everybody knows that maybe we will not come back again, hopefully, but maybe not. And once we are here, we have to try to beat, of course. When you have this opportunity to win a trophy in Europe, it doesn't matter. It will be in December when we go to Saudi Arabia to play the World Cup, so we have to try to do it. And I'm pretty sure the team is happy, relaxed, satisfied. All the big adjectives to describe what an honor is, to play that competition, and yeah, we go for it.
Neil Lennon, you've won a few trophies in your time. They're going here for a 4th trophy in their last 5 competitive matches, Manchester City.
Yeah, it's tremendous consistency. I mean, he's done it before with Barcelona, so he knows how to get it done, Choppers. And basically what he's saying in his interview is, we're not taking anything for granted. We've earned the right to be here. It's a European trophy that's worth winning. And then he's adhered to the World Club Championships in December as well, so they've obviously got an eye on that as well. I always think, when they've had a momentous season like they had last year, it's always important to freshen the squad up as well. Some of the players have reached the top and they want to go and try out new things, like Gundogan's gone, Mahrez is gone, Laporte looks like he's going to go. It's really important to bring in new quality faces just to keep that sort of competition there and that energy in the dressing room, because it's difficult. The challenge is everyone's going to want to beat them this year. But the challenge for them now is to fend off all the other competitors again.
And actually, as we've already discussed, Don, that is what they've done. And if one more comes in, even if it's just one more, then you would expect that player and Gvardiol and Kovacic, that's a new energy for that squad. And they're 3 players, whoever the 3rd player might be if it comes in, going, well, hang on, we want some of these trophies as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, having been in dressing rooms when players go out the door, sometimes it can feel a little bit quiet because the lively players and very influential players that Guardiola's lost. Talked about Mahrez when he played, Velcro touch, fantastic execution of crosses, fantastic delivery, very calm on the ball. We talked about Gundogan. He was Guardiola's very first signing, and out of all the quality players I think he's had over the years, I think he's been my favourite, Ilkay Gundogan. The way he has a real high football IQ, a very intelligent player, So when you've lost those characters, it's important that the new guys then come in, if they do come in, and integrate themselves very quickly. The players that are in the dressing room then lean on them for their sort of expertise at the same time, and it has that fresh feeling when players come through the door. It's only a good thing when players arrive through the door for a dressing room.
How much do you think they will miss Gundogan's leadership? Well, I always think that one of the things that struck me under Guardiola and Manchester City is how well the leadership has been passed on from Kompany to Fernandinho, then to Gundogan, to long-serving players who know exactly what it's all about. They've always done that very well.
Yeah, and Neil's probably done the same job I've done over the years when you're a captain, and Gundogan and Guardiola's captains over the years are a link between, the manager and the dressing room. There's no real... I wouldn't have thought at Man City, it definitely didn't happen in my time, in terms of other players going to see a manager. So as a captain, you're the link between what's going on in the dressing room, i.e. you might be training too hard, you then go up to see the manager, or we're training a little bit too easy, can we do a little bit more? And it's great for someone like Guardiola when he's got the football IQ of Ilkay Gundogan and he tells him what he wants from the dressing room. Then he's got the quality, the experience, and he can walk into a dressing room, Gundogan, and everyone listens and everyone watches him because he's a world-class player.
Neil?
Yeah, the one thing, I totally agree with Don on Gundogan. I think the one thing, if you look at those captains, choppers, like most of the top captains of the big clubs, they've respected the dressing room, and I think they've earned that, and Guardiola sees that. He's given the captain's armband to Kyle Walker, who's been so consistent over the years with Manchester City, and again he'll have the respect of the players in the dressing room. So yeah, well, it's sometimes a difficult choice because you've got so many good players. 10 times out of 10 he seems to get it right.
Neil, for the moment, thank you very much. The teams have just come out in Athens. I'm told there might be some kind of opening routine here, so we don't want to miss this with John Murray.
Well, we've just missed it.
Oh no!
So
what a shame!
I didn't even see it. I was talking to Chappers. I missed it. What was it?
They've put a couple of things down that represent Greek columns. You can say that's what they are. Yeah. So they're there. Anyway, it was a brief one. You didn't miss much, Mark, and I know that you always love.
I love that. I'm so annoyed. I love ceremonies before big events.
Yes.
How annoying. Oh well.
Anyway, here we are.
All yours.
Welcome everyone from inside the stadium here in Greece, in the Greek capital. We are in the home stadium of Olympiakos, one of the great Greek clubs, and we're just really a short distance away from the port of Piraeus, which is the port of Athens. That's where we're situated, and the sun has set now here after a very warm sunny day. It is a very hot evening, I must say, and the scene is set before us for the UEFA Supercup match. And most fittingly, as the two teams came out, Kyle Walker, the Manchester City captain, had the European Cup in his hands, the Champions League trophy. He walked out with that and placed it on a Perspex plinth before the Manchester City players lined up. And on the other side, Jesus Navas, the former Manchester City man, who is a legendary figure at Sevilla, having started his career and he's ending his career there, 37 years old. He carried out the UEFA Cup, what is now the Europa League trophy, and did likewise, placed it on the plinth. He almost caressed it, I noticed, and he made sure it looked absolutely right before he went off. And now the two of them, Kyle Walker and Jesus Navas, are shaking hands over the halfway line. The officials are from France, Francois Letessier, and Manchester City are getting themselves ready to see if they can add another trophy to their 2023 haul. The players in the sky blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks, just going around one another. This is the first time that Manchester City are appearing in this match, the UEFA Supercup, and it is of course one of the trappings of the success of last season, whereas the record winners of the Europa League competition, Sevilla, are on the other side of the pitch, all in red. Manchester City's team tonight: Ederson in goal, Walker, Akanji, Gvardiol making his first start, and Ake Then Rodri with Foden and Kovacic in the absence of the injured De Bruyne. Cole Palmer starts this one, Jack Grealish and Erling Haaland. And the Sevilla team, Bono in goal, although it seems he's going to be off to Saudi Arabia. Jesus Navas at right back, Bade, Goudel and Acuna, the back four. In midfield, Joan Jordan and Ivan Rakitic, with Oliver Torres and Lucas Ocampes, Eric Lamela and Youssef En-Nesyri are the front players for Sevilla. Now before we start, the players are gathered around the centre circle for a moment's silence. Rather disrespectful people shouting out during the course of that, but I think the people near them managed to silence them, and we're ready for the start. Don Hutchison is here with us inside the stadium, Scotland international, Premier League player. Quick word, Don, on what lies ahead, do you think?
Well, what lies ahead is a very, very stubborn Sevilla side. I was working on the game when they beat Roma in the Europa League final. It lasted 146 minutes, 13 yellow cards along the way. So there will be stubborn opposition, but this is a very, very strong Man City team.
Yeah, it always is, isn't it? Whatever competition Pep Guardiola sends his team out for. So off we go. Manchester City kick off. And the ball immediately played from the centre spot by Phil Foden back towards goalkeeper Ederson. And Manchester City, as we look from our position here, we're on the dressing room side of the ground, the dugout side of the ground. Manchester City are playing from right to left, and I notice right at the start of the match the Sevilla supporters have let off a red flare in amongst their supporters. There are many of them. The 10,000 allocation for Manchester City, and us Sevilla supporters are terrific. They are some of the best supporters in terms of the noise and the atmosphere that they create. So hopefully we will have an atmosphere as a backdrop to this game. Manchester City immediately winning a free kick for a foul on Cole Palmer on the right. John.
Well, just a small note, Vardiol's playing at left back. I thought he might have played as a centre back, and Nathan Ake would have been at left back. So a small note on that position. We talked about the versatility of Vardiol. He's now at a left back in a flat back four. Yeah,
he as he was coming through, he did play as a left back, but I mean, very much seen as a central defender. That's where he's carved out this brilliant reputation. Gvardiol, £77 million Manchester City paid for him, and at 21 years old, Josko Gvardiol, it feels like he's got the world at his feet. And Akanji's got the ball at his feet, but he's lost possession, and it's taken on by En-Nesyri, who shoots as he falls from outside of the penalty area. Eric Lamela, actually, it was on the edge of the box, falling over the former Tottenham man, but dragging his shot well wide for a goal kick.
Yeah, well, that was case in point of Manuel Akanji stepping into that little midfield alongside Rodri. He got given a ball under pressure and he couldn't really deal with it. It's interesting that obviously Rodri's dropping a little bit deeper, and the two players that are going to be closest to Erling Haaland is going to be Phil Foden and potentially Kovacic. But on Lamela's left foot, maybe would have been more of a chance, not on his right.
So here is Gvardiol then starting as left back. This is 5 Live, BBC Sounds, BBC Radio Manchester listeners join us as well, so welcome to you inside the stadium here in Athens, or Athens Piraeus as it is being billed on the hoardings, as Cole Palmer starting for Manchester City in this match, the 21-year-old. He did have injury problems last season, just the 7 starts, but he's playing out on the right-hand side, and as Don Hutchison has said, Phil Foden playing in a more central role, so it looks as though he has been given as the ball is played back, and actually that might have been a foul, you know.
He was a lucky man. He was a lucky man, Akanji. He was short with a pass.
Yeah, again, a little shaky start from him. And here comes Ocampos down the right-hand side, the talented right winger. Ocampos playing the ball back behind him to Jordan, who's come in. We would have expected Fernando, the old stager, the former Manchester City midfielder, to be playing for Sevilla, but he's been unwell, just like Bernardo Silva. That's the word on Bernardo Silva, the reason that he's not here because of illness. And actually Pep Guardiola was not involved in training last night, even though he spoke to us in the stadium And the reason for that was that Pep Guardiola wasn't feeling very well. Kovac has just given it away. A compass with a pass. He was looking for En-Nesyri on the edge of the box, but Akanji came across and was able to head it down, and it's been cleared away to the halfway line to Gudel, Nemanja Gudel, the Serbian international, who slips it forward to the central area to Jordan, and then it comes back to Gudel, who finds the pass to the right-hand side. Here is Jesus Navas, 37 years old, back in the Spanish squad again last season. Long ball forward towards Ocampos, but the offside flag is up and it's a free kick to Manchester City.
That's the danger. That's the danger. When Sevilla go forward, they've got players like En-Nesyri, who's very, very good, the Moroccan, and Lucas Ocampos on the right-hand side, very quick and very direct.
Yeah, En-Nesyri, who's got big bandages on his forearms and on his wrists. Tall man, Moroccan World Cup man, just like his goalkeeper Bono, at the age of 32. You know, when the word went round that he was going to be heading off to Saudi Arabia, we weren't expecting Bono to be playing in this match, but here he is.
It's a strange one in terms of a manager picking him. It might be a farewell game, but how does the goalkeeper feel if he's got to go into a 50-50 tackle knowing he's got to move to Saudi around the corner?
So 0-0, Manchester City 0, Sevilla 0. Here's Grealish involved in the action for the first time, but Jesus Navas is able to keep pace with him, get there first, and pop it out of play down below us. Many of the Sevilla supporters are just in front of us. I noticed one down there in a very Spanish style is fanning herself with a floral fan, and I think that's where the wives and girlfriends and families of the Sevilla players are, just down in front of us actually. Here's Gvardiol then with the throw-in, level with the edge of the penalty area. Still waits, then takes the throw. Foden with a flick into the area looking for Haaland, but Haaland trying to lay it back to Foden, just gave it away straight to Rakitic, another of the old stages in this Sevilla side. And now here's Ocampos down the right-hand side. Oliver Torres is on the right flank. Oliver Torres comes infield. He's still on his right foot. In fact, he's all right foot. And then turns up against Grealish. Torres, dark-haired, herring infield. Haaland arrives, so he has to tap it back into the central defenders. But
Sevilla have had the best start to the game. A couple of minutes gone, they're very, very comfortable, as you'd expect. Rakitic is pulling the strings in midfield with his diagonal passes.
And here's Jesus Navas, early cross for him. En-Nesyri with a header, bounces down. Ocampos was in there as well, headed forward by Lamela. En-Nesyri with another chance, but got right underneath it. And as a result, just sort of headed it up in the air. And Ederson was able to scamper out of his 6-yard box and catch it.
Well, I tell you what, if you get given that chance again, if you're En-Nesyri, you could actually have took that ball down in a busy 18-yard box rather than going for it first time.
Grealish now coming forward, just down in front of us. Then Foden out to the right-hand side. Here is Cole Palmer. Palmer thought about his shot, turns again, back onto his left foot, might open up for him, does shoot, but Bono goes down, the goalkeeper for Sevilla, and is able to drop on it quite comfortably.
Good work there from Cole Palmer, and especially Carl Walker behind him, who offered the overlap and he ignored him. Cut inside on his left foot, striking the ball through traffic, so an early sighter for Cole Palmer.
So it is 0-0 in this UEFA Supercup match, the traditional match that was first played 50 years ago, back in 1973, and has now developed, and it involves the winners of the Champions League and the winners of the Europa League, which Sevilla won last season for a record 7th time, that competition in its various forms. Ball played forward by Kovacic. Here's Haaland inside the penalty area up against Bade, but there was support there as well from Jesus Navas, who came across and just stabbed it out of play for the first corner of the match to City.
Yeah, Bade done well, because he thought potentially that Erling Haaland was going to take the shot on the angle, and he more or less said to him, go on, you can take the shot if you like, because you're not going to score from that angle. So he forced Haaland to try a trick which didn't come off.
Haaland fresh from his 2 goals against Burnley. Corner is taken short by Foden and Grealish. Then back to Palmer, left-footed ball into the back post. Hanake with a header, and it's clawed away by Bono. Threw himself at it, head first, in amongst a crowd of players. Bono made the save. In it comes again. That's headed away, out to the edge of the area. Palmer, nice touch there. Another lovely touch as well. But En-Nesyri's able to put in the challenge.
Tackle.
And then Rodri.
Great tackle.
En-Nesyri sliding in on him.
What a tackle. Old school from En-Nesyri, going all in there. Green light on the 50-50, but that was a chance, and I think Nathan Ake should have scored.
Yeah, he's stretching for it, but I mean, good chance, edge of the 6-yard box. So still 0-0. But I can tell, Don, you enjoyed that En-Nesyri.
Oh,
I mean, he is very tall, isn't he? Lanky, and he threw himself into the path of the marauding Rodri. coming onto that, not far away from where he scored the winning goal in Istanbul in the Champions League final.
There's nothing like on a greasy surface when you go all in on a red light on a 50-50 and you win it.
Well, it feels quite... I mean, it's sweltering here tonight, sitting in the box. Temperature must have been well over 30 in Athens today, and there are some very red faces I notice in the stands. Manchester City fans in the main on the far side of the stadium from us, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sky blue shirts. As the ball is back with Ederson. Now here's Akanji after the couple of awkward moments that he's had in the game so far. Then across to Ake, who had that big chance to score with the header. And then back to Ederson again. Ortega is on the bench. Long ball from Ederson, looking for one of those passes downfield. It was Kovacic actually who was racing onto it, but it bounces through to Bono.
Yeah, it's not really a night. I mean, Ederson is famed for that sort of 50-60 yard pass, but it's not really a night to try and give the ball away, because Mendilibar's men have started well in the game. Well respected coach Mendilibar, 15 jobs across Spain.
Nearly 1,000 matches as a manager, seen for decades really as a manager who would work well on a small budget, keep teams in La Liga. And when Sevilla needed someone, when Sampaoli was sacked in March, they were struggling, they were up against relegation, they chose him, the 62-year-old, to see if he could keep them in the La Liga, which they did comfortably with an excellent run of results, and also went storming through the knockout stages of the Europa League, having been knocked out of the Champions League by Manchester City in that group, and of course beat Manchester United on the way, having been 2-0 down at Old Trafford. And then, as Don was saying, winning against Mourinho's Roma.
Oh, Jose tried all the tricks in the final.
Didn't he just?
That
was a horrible game to watch.
146 minutes.
Yeah, it was torture. What was 14 yellow cards? And Sevilla with the ball in their own right back position, but Manchester City have nicked it back. Here is Gvardiol, the bearded Gvardiol, starting at left back. If you've just joined us, thought it would be in central defence with Ake at left back, but not so. Here is Grealish playing it in field. Akanji allows it to run to Rodri. Lovely one touch, then taps it away square to Walker. Now to the right hand side, Palmer up against Acuna, and then goes back to Walker, who lifts one into the back post but too close to Bono, who comes and punches it. Ooh. And it came out to Gvardiol, best part of 25 yards out, sat up for him nicely, so he went for goal with a volley, but he hit it over and high by probably 5 or 6 yards.
Yeah, it's been a feature of Man City's game, I think, over the last 18 months, probably especially because Erling Haaland's in the team, but they don't mind putting crosses in the box. The goalkeeper, Bono, not really convincing, punching it to Gvardiol, but it was on his weaker right foot, so he had to take the shot on because it was an open goal, but it was a tough ask. It was a high tariff effort finish.
So still Manchester City 0, Sevilla 0 on 5 Live, Radio Manchester and on BBC Sounds. And our engineer Phil reckons it's 27 degrees in here at the moment, but we are 2 hours ahead of the UK, so it's 10:15 in the evening, but apparently it hit 35 earlier today, which felt about right, didn't it? Guardiola is there, all in black on the edge of the coaching area, and City with a throw on the halfway line.
Well, it felt right in terms of the heat until you took us to an Italian, John, and ordered arrabbiata, spicy, in this heat. I think that was a bad decision.
A mistake, was it? Okay. Normally I get the culinary side spot on.
It was good, but it didn't work in the heat.
Campos just wins a throw in on the halfway line, and it is a throw in that Jesus Navas will take. Just to tip you off, by the way, there would be no extra time tonight. UEFA announced last week that this match, if it is a draw after the 90 minutes plus, it will then go to penalties. Throw in for Manchester City. Again, Gvardiol back to Akanji. Gvardiol has to just stretch with it and steer it all the way back to Ederson.
Looks a Man City player already, doesn't he? Gvardiol, very comfortable on the ball.
Yeah, I know very well. A couple of reporters I know in Croatia have been telling me for some time that he would go for very, very big money and have a great career. So let's see how things develop there. Both Diaz and Stones, by the way, have been on the bench. They've had little injury worries, but they're back. And Laporte as well, who it seems might well be heading for Saudi Arabia, but he is named among the substitutes for Manchester City. as they go back through Akanji all the way back to Ederson. And Manchester City, now things have settled down. They've had a couple of chances. We've had 13 minutes of play, but it is 0-0. And in this heat, I think this could be really the way that things go. And when they can, they're going to conserve energy and just knock it around at walking pace.
It's interesting, Rodri's position. Obviously, he's standing in the centre of midfield, but Kovacic and Phil Foden are playing quite a way ahead of him.
Yeah, it's like that line of four, isn't it, that Manchester City sometimes plays, sort of one sitter and then four men behind Haaland. Here's a Campos who runs away and flicks the ball back to Jesus Navas, all the way back to Bade, who was sent off in the defeat against Valencia in La Liga, their opening match in the league on Friday night. And now out to the left-hand side to the Argentine World Cup winner, Marcos Acuna. And then back into central midfield to Jordan, and Sevilla go back into the middle of their own half. The man who scored the winning penalty, remarkably, the other Argentine World Cup fullback, Gonzalo Montiel, is among the substitutes tonight after his amazing season. He'll never have anything like that in his career again, to score the winning penalty in the shootout in the World Cup final, and then the winning penalty in the shootout in the Europa League final. And also when it was retaken, the final penalty in the Europa League final, because the goalkeeper was off his line and he hit the bar but scored second time round. You almost couldn't make that up. It is Sevilla with the ball at the back. Here is Bade now to the right hand side to Jesus Navas, who just steps across to the left hand side and then goes back into central defence. They are missing one or two, particularly at the back actually, defenders. I mentioned Fernando from midfield, but Marcao and Nianzou are out injured as a long ball comes forward for Sevilla, but even though Ake got to it, the flag goes up against En-Nesyri and it's a free kick for Manchester City.
They're quite fluid, Sevilla, in their system, where Oliver Torres sort of does a lot of work on the right hand side, but he's making his move quite centrally towards En-Nesyri, and also Lucas Ocampos is doing the same thing. So they're not really static in their positions. In possession, they're very interesting to watch.
Still 0-0. Manchester City coming forward with Rodri, who plays it through the middle, a stretch by Kovacic, sets a ball off for Haaland to chase, but he couldn't get there. Jesus Navas was there again and was able to make contact and touch it back to his goalkeeper, who cleared towards the halfway line.
That was all about the experience. Jesus Navas at 37, he realised as soon as Kovacic got in between the lines, the one ball he was going to play was right down the side for Erling Haaland to run onto, and Navas read it.
Jesus Navas, who we saw often, didn't we, as a right winger for Manchester City, or wing back, but as well as his 4 years with Manchester City, this is now his club record for Sevilla, 656th appearance for Sevilla alone. Here's Akanji just wandering forward with the ball to the halfway line, then Rodri to his left to Kovacic, and to his left here to Grealish, who's got a little bit of space as Jesus Navas comes across. Grealish now goes inside to Campos, curls the shot, and Bono, rather laboured save actually. I thought he was going to go down too early there, but was able to get his fingertips to it and push it away to his left for a corner.
No, the passing's very good. Kovacic took one touch on the back foot, played it to Jack Grealish, he then dropped inside. Goalkeeper made an absolute meal of it. It's not really heading towards the top right hand corner of the stanchion. It's a save that he should make, but he makes it look good, Bono.
So it's a corner to Manchester City on the far side of the stadium. Still 0-0, and the first 16 minutes have been played. So Grealish is going to take this. He's got the option of Foden short if he wants, but I think he's going to deliver it. Grealish with the outswinger, and it is Rodri who got there but could only head it across the penalty area, and Sevilla were able to clear it away back to the halfway line where Kyle Walker is there. I'm like you, Don, with Kyle Walker. You know, talk of him going to Bayern Munich, it feels like, even at 33 years old now, 33 at the end of last season, it still feels that he's a very, very important player for Manchester City.
Well, he's irreplaceable, and I think that's why the talk of Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva having lost so many players. It's so important that they keep Kyle Walker. It's so important that Bernardo Silva signs a new contract. But I think one player, and it's a difficult one when you talk Man City because there's fantastic players all over the pitch, but the one player I think as it stands they can't afford to lose is Rodri. I don't think anyone plays the position like him.
Yeah, you're talking about probably people stepping in there, whether it's John Stones or young Lewis can play there as well, can't he? But Rodri is Well, as someone
he
said,
makes the game look very easy for a start because,
Yep.
I mean, even though he will cover the distance, it never really feels as though he moves a lot because his football intelligence and his positional know-how is so good at standing still. It's a lot of things that young people probably get taught the opposite. You've always got to be on the move. It's a myth when, you know, coaches say to young players in the box, you've got to be on the move in the 18-yard box. If you're in a good position, stand still.
ball on the right-hand side with Manchester City. Comes back towards the halfway line. Walker plays it through, but Goodell was there, and so he's able to pick out the ball forward towards Rakitic, and then Rakitic, the former Barcelona man, takes it on and is fouled, or concedes a foul, and it's a free kick to Manchester City, 10 yards inside their own half. Choice of listening tonight, the 100 continues on Sports Extra, Southern Brave against Birmingham, so that is on Sports Extra on your digital radio, BBC Sounds. We're also covering Queen's Park Rangers against Norwich City, that outstanding tie in the first round of the Carabao Cup. Let's see how it's going with Aaron Paul.
QPR 0, Norwich 0, little in the way of concrete goal mouth action here. Onel Hernandez has had the best of the chances. The winger honours a first half Norwich City sub, scuffing an effort from close range into the arms of Jordan Archer. The winners here, by the way, take on Bristol City away. It is 0-0.
Thank you. So Manchester City 0, Sevilla 0. Free kick to the Spanish side, and that is taken forward by Jordan, but can't keep it in on the far side, and it's a throw into Manchester City. And I think as well with Rodri, you were talking before about the leaders that Manchester City have had. He's got leader written all over him as well. He came in and spoke to us yesterday. Yet another appears to be a really good character, very thoughtful, and as our colleague George said to me yesterday, best holding midfielder in the world.
I think so. As I said before, he makes the game look very easy, and he's a pep midfield player.
Kovacic now takes it on, gives it to Haaland on the edge of the box, to Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish's ball across. He was looking for the head of Haaland. It's headed away by Bade. Comes back though to Grealish with Jesus Navas, who tried to hook it in field. You know, in the absolute flow of the season there, probably Grealish gets the touch on that, takes it away from Navas, but it was heavy and it's a throw.
He's actually apologising to Cole Palmer, because even though Haaland made the run, he spotted Cole Palmer arriving at the near post. He was unmarked. He just underhit the cross.
So it is 0-0. Manchester City trying to win this competition, this cup, this smooth silver cup that is on the CV, the honours list of most of the top clubs. And Manchester City, that's where they consider themselves to be, rightly. They're the 40th different club to play in this fixture. Here's Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish carrying the ball on towards the edge of the area, but it's all rather slow-paced, this, in the Greek warmth here. Kovacic turns, but just gets away from him, and Jesus Navas is able to put in the tackle, and it comes back to him, and then he hits it forward, and it hits Kovacic, slap in the face. You might have been able to hear that, because he slipped as he went in there, Kovacic, to try and block it, and it slapped him right on the side of the face.
They're horrible. For players, they are they're horrible, because you're not expecting it. Jesus Navas is trying to hit a raking 50-yard ball up front, and it catches Kovacic right on the chin.
From probably, 7 yards?
Oh, if that.
And he's okay. He's all right. He's just rubbing might hit him on the nose, actually. His cheek, nose area. And we're going to have a water break, actually, which I'm not surprised. That's almost midway through the first half, and in these conditions, clearly that's agreed. I think there is a certain temperature, isn't there? If it's over a certain temperature, then you have a water break during the course of the match. So Don Hutchison, so far, Manchester City clearly with the better chances. Palmer's shot, Ake's header, Grealish's effort as well.
Yeah, I think the first 5-10 minutes or so, I thought Sevilla were the better side. They looked comfortable. They made Man City fall into one or two areas. I think Manuel Akanji was guilty first 5 minutes of giving a couple of dangerous balls away, but since then they've settled, they've got on the ball. So
the players now grouped together, passing around the water bottles.
We're just watching Pep deliver the team talk to Carl Walker, and I think he's asking potentially Jack Grealish and Cole Palmer for more width.
Yeah, he looks okay tonight. If he was under the weather yesterday, he's all full of animation. I can hear him clapping his hands down there. Quite a long beard at the moment. Pep Guardiola, all in black, but the beard quite silver now, and he's still talking away to Gvardiol, making his full competitive debut. And let's get a word. Neil Lennon's back in the studio, watching this, following it from afar. What have you made of it so far, Neil?
Yeah, it's Sevilla have been quite compact and resilient so far. Interesting to see Kovacic picking up the positions of Gundogan would normally, John, and trying to get on the half turn and release Haaland. City's starting to dominate possession, Sevilla not much in an attacking sense, so far it's been okay, not spectacular, but you just see City's power come to the fore the longer the half wears on.
Yeah, thank you, Neil Lennon, former Celtic manager. And Don, when you and I were talking about what Kovacic would bring, and Neil's just compared him to Gundogan there, who really weighed in with goals. But from his time at Chelsea, Mateo Kovacic, even though, excellent player for Chelsea, player of the year one season, number of goals he scored in a season, 0-2, 0-2 and 2. Here's Palmer on the right-hand side. Palmer turns, he's put under pressure, might have been fouled by Acuna. Referee Letessier says no, so Sevilla are able to bring it away, and Acuna must have just got a foot in on that, but Sevilla go back towards the edge of their own penalty area.
His best numbers were 2
in a season, so 6 goals in 221 Chelsea appearances.
And Neil Lennon would be 100 million.
Here is Campos now bringing the ball forward. He's actually in a central position, more towards the left hand side. Then Acuna with the cross, good cross, down, and it's in. En-Nesyri got up there, the big man, the Moroccan, ahead of Nathan Ake, and Sevilla take the lead against Manchester City in the Supercup. Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1.
Well, it's what they do when En-Nesyri's in the box. They're a threat when they get it in wide areas, and the leap is incredible. He spots the flight of the ball ever so well quite early. Bono started the move by playing it into midfield. They flick it round the corner. They've got an overload down their left-hand side, and once they work it down the left-hand side, they're not shy. He gets himself 1v1 just in behind Nathan Ake and Vardiol. There's a few waves of hands in the press box to signal there might be an offside. I didn't see that, but what a header, a bullet header. There's no way once Nathan Ake's static and En-Nesyri's on the jump, he's not offside. It's a fantastic finish.
Headed it right into the bottom left corner from 6-7 yards out, something like that. And as you say, Don, his leap is prodigious, isn't it? I mean, he's a big man to start with.
It's always the nightmare, John, for centre-halves when a ball's whipped in and a centre-half has to open up his body. In Nathan Ake's case, he tries to, 1, keep an eye on the player En-Nesyri, 2, get the flight of the ball, and everything's happening so quickly, and once you are underneath it and En-Nesyri gets the jump on him, it's impossible to stop.
So En-Nesyri scores as he did in the opening league match of the season on Friday night, so 2 matches, 2 goals, good age, 26 years old, En-Nesyri, and that leap that he has. Do you remember the goal that he scored at the World Cup as well against Portugal? And it was extraordinary. He managed to get himself up to an extraordinary height to head it in, and they're towering above the Manchester City defenders.
He's got that. I played with Freddie Canute at West Ham, and he's got that Freddie Canute. Exactly, he's got that Freddie sort of 6'3", 6'4", but when he jumps, and Freddie could jump, and En-Nesyri's the same. When he jumps, dear me, you get some serious height.
That's Don Hutchison. Manchester City 0, Sevilla 0. On this day, we brought you commentary live from Sydney on the World Cup semi-final. Tonight, we're bringing you commentary from inside the stadium here in Greece, as Jack Grealish is tripped, and that is a free kick. Grealish looks less than impressed with that from Lamela, who got the touch. There were 3 players around him. Free kick is taken by City, so 1-0 down. Sevilla lead by 1-0. Regulars over the course of the last 20 years in this match because of their record in the Europa League, UEFA Cup. Grealish playing it in, but bad ears up there to head it away, and then it is given away. Weak header back by Oliver Torres. So Grealish back to Gvardiol, and then Akanji. That hits Rodri, so Sevilla have got it back, and it's actually played forward by Jordan. Nicely, just economically lifted a volley forward, looked to set Sevilla away again. Acuna on the left-hand side. Acuna's pass is easily intercepted.
They're breaking well though, John. Every time Man City give the ball away in a tight area when they're trying to pick that final pass, Sevilla are very good at breaking.
They are, and suddenly Manchester City have got a challenge on their hands here, having already lost out in the Community Shield on penalties to Arsenal with that late equaliser. Now here they are against Sevilla, who've actually lost the last 5 times they've been in this match, the Super Cup. Only won it once, the first time they were in it, back in 2006. And here is Rodri, back to Walker. And the Manchester City captain tonight just allows the ball to come to a rest and then taps it out towards Palmer on the far side.
I'm watching the movement of Phil Foden, and he's trying to get just in behind Ivan Rakitic, but Lucas Ocampos is doing a very good job at stopping him.
Still Manchester City in possession, but it's not got that zip about it at the moment. And Sevilla, everyone apart from goal scorer En-Nesyri behind the ball. Sevilla thought they might have had a free kick there, but Manchester City have got it back. Guardiola goes for an early ball, but that's way over the head of Haaland, and actually Palmer will do well to keep it in. He can't. It rattles into the red hoardings over there to the acclaim of the Sevilla fans in their white and red shirts and the stands behind it. Thrown to Sevilla.
Yeah, Sevilla are taking confidence from the times that they're nicking the ball off Man City in dangerous areas, and they're just a couple of passes away when they string them, Sevilla, from getting maybe En-Nesyri in dangerous areas.
So throw-in to Sevilla in their own left-back position.
Man City left themselves at the back 1v1, Vardiol versus Lamela.
But it is Ake heading it forward, and then chested down, and here is a ball to Lamela, and the Sevilla number 17 does well. Grealish arrives, but he gives it to Jesus Navas. Jesus Navas, low ball into the penalty area. Ake near the penalty spot.
It's not the delivery that En-Nesyri wanted. He wanted the ball in the air towards the back post. Navas went low, went to the front post.
I have to confess, Don, a number of times I used to watch Jesus Navas and commentate on him for Manchester City and get frustrated when he put in balls like that. Here is Ocampos.
It was a mark of his game when he got in so many good areas. He kept hitting the front post, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I'll tell you what, he's been some right back the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, you know, having won this competition 4 times with Sevilla. Here they are on the right. Oliver Torres, ball across. Oh, chance from Lamela, stretching for it, just leaning back, and that meant that the left foot shot near the edge of the box across goal went wide at the top left corner.
And it was a big chance. He just went for the wrong technique there, Eric Lamela, on his left foot. He tries to open up the face, which therefore puts a lot of fade and a lot of slice in it. So it's a very difficult skill to try and find the top corner, because it's always fading away from goal.
So it remains Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1 here on BBC Radio 5 Live and Radio Manchester. And Manchester City, who've not conceded 2 goals in any match since January, just living a little dangerously there. Ball goes back to Guardiola, who turns and gives it back to Grealish, and then back to Guardiola near the halfway line. That was the win against Tottenham at the Etihad Stadium when they won 4-2 and were in trouble in that game, remember, and came back and won it well. Here's Palmer on the right hand side. Palmer with a cross, that's blocked right across the middle of the pitch. Akanji though slightly behind him, goes back to Walker, and Kyle Walker.
I tell you, the trouble for Man City, where they're trying to problem solve at the moment, is how many red shirts are behind the ball, compact, narrow. So they're going to have to be patient. Grealish is the out ball, wide left. Rodri might play it now. He sides against it.
Yeah, this Mendilibar side, as they showed in the knockout stages of the Europa League last season, can be very awkward customers. Comes back to Kovacic. Kovacic now then taps it back to Rodri, and then back to Ake near the halfway line. But everyone in red is behind the ball. Now Grealish on the left-hand side, trying to find a way through all of these red shirts, and he's actually weaving his run infield back towards almost the centre circle.
Went nowhere.
Gives it to Walker. Walker's been put under pressure. He shrugs off the challenge from Oliver Torres. Now back to Guardiola. Guardiola back to Rodri on his right foot. Rodri's ball into the area. That's hooked away by Guardiola, with Palmer trying to get round the back, but Guardiola Goodell watched it onto his right foot and was able to clear it away quite comfortably for Sevilla.
I think Jack Grealish has got to mix his game up. He's playing up against a 37-year-old right back, and he keeps cutting in onto his right foot, going into traffic. I would say go and take him on once or twice.
Cole Palmer with it on the left-hand side. Palmer then back towards the halfway line again. So 1-0 to Sevilla here in Greece, and as the ball is played through to Haaland, Bade was all over the back of Haaland, sent him sprawling down.
Tell you, could have been a red.
And Haaland, if he'd been able to get away there, I think possibly just the way that the pass was overhit.
Yes.
So Haaland, I don't think was going to get there, but Bade nevertheless hauled him over. Yellow card for Bade for the Sevilla central defender.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at it. We've got it on the monitor. Ball from Rodri. Yeah, I think the goalkeeper Bono was always favourite to get that. I think it's worth the ask. if you're Erling Haaland, but a yellow seems about the right call.
Well, this is Bade, who was sent off on Friday night, as I mentioned. So sent off on Friday night, and that was quite close to being another red card, but it is a yellow. Sevilla, who were shown 14 red cards last season across all competitions. 14 red cards in the same season. Some kind of record. Free kick then for Manchester City. Well, Foden likes the look of this.
It's a long way out though for Phil Foden. This would be some effort.
This is probably closer to 30 yards than 25.
Yeah, it might favour Kyle Walker if he wants to go for power, but I think it's going to be Foden.
Kyle Walker would be an unlikely scorer. I think it is going to be Foden. The wall is in the D. Foden waits, one foot slightly in front of the other, and up he comes, left-footed with the free kick that hits the top of the wall, and Polaks is one of the players in it, who has gone down and is flat on his back in the D, and we'll have a stoppage here. And actually the medical people are very quickly on, of course, with the concussion.
I think it's Rakitic.
Yeah,
I think it might be Rakitic in the wall, I think
it is, isn't it? Yeah. So they're going to have a look at him, and this could be a concussion issue. So that it is possible that this might be the end of Ivan Rakitic's night. He's flat on his back, and they're leaning over him. So while they make sure that everything's okay with Ivan Rakitic, let's get the half-time news from QPR Norwich from Aaron Paul.
QPR 0, Norwich 0. Loads of changes, little in the way of action. Both sides have been pretty blunt in the final third. Ono Hernandez with the best chance of the game for the visitors. His point-blank effort trickled into the arms of Jordan Archer in the Rangers goal. This one will go straight to penalties if it stays in. It is Bristol City awaiting in round 2. At the break, however, it is QPR 0, Norwich 0.
Rakitic is on his feet and is being led off the field. So we will see if he's okay. In fact, it's not
Jordan.
Rakitic, it's Jordan, who is the player who took the ball in the face, and he is just, I think he's going to be okay. Looks as though he means to come back on.
Well, we've just seen a replay of the En-Nesyri goal, and what a delivery it was from Marcus Acuna from that left-hand side. It was some cross.
This could be the Aston Villa bound Acuna, Marcus Acuna. The locals who follow Sevilla were telling us yesterday that Aston Villa are very interested in him. 31 years old, but another of the Argentine World Cup winners. And of course now at Aston Villa, Monchi is there, the former Sevilla sporting director, who will know everything there is to know about Marcus Acuna.
Well, he was instrumental when they got relegated in 2000, Monchi, the great sporting director. As you said, he was given two objectives when they went down. It was improve the youth system and improve the scouting. He created a network of 700 scouts.
That is amazing, isn't it? So that gives you an idea of perhaps what he'll be trying to do at Aston Villa as well. Here's Palmer, play back underway, ball into the penalty area. Akanji on the chase, Akanji taking it to the byline, and it's blocked behind for another corner to Manchester City. The defender just came across and blocked it out, and it's a corner.
They've got to improve their passing, Man City. I think over the last 5 or 10 minutes they've shown a bit of frustration. The passing hasn't been as slick as it was the first 15.
Jordan is back on, incidentally. So it's a corner from the right. Manchester City 1-0 down here in the Supercup match. And this is going to be swung in by Grealish. High one towards the penalty spot, which is headed over by a leaping Rodri.
I'm not sure that. I thought it came off Rodri. I thought it came off his shoulder. Referee's given a corner.
Yeah, and this has been heavily disputed, but
actually,
it's the right decision.
It was a great call.
Yeah, Rakitic kicked over right fuss about that, but it was the right decision. He headed it down onto the back of might well have been Rakitic, actually. Right, corner from the left. Foden to take it for Manchester City, but that's headed away at the point of the 6-yard box by Sevilla. Jesus Navas, and Manchester City take up possession again. 1-0 down to that 25th minute goal from Youssef En-Nesyri that actually went in off the very foot of the left post as well. When I say it was right in the bottom corner, that's how right in the bottom corner it was. We'll have more from Neil Lennon on this at half-time with Mark Chapman, and also at half-time more on the Scotland Rugby Union World Cup announcement today. And we will have comprehensive coverage this autumn, commentary on 5 Live and Sports Extra of the matches. Hear them all via BBC Sounds. And here is Grealish on the left-hand side, back towards Gvardiol. Gvardiol picks out the pass, flick from Kovacic. Grealish could have been in, but Jesus Navas was tight with him, got a touch, and Bade was able to put it out of play.
Yeah, the problem was Jack Grealish wasn't alive to the Phil Foden flick. They were on a different wavelength there. It was super play from Foden.
Manchester City, who will be at home to Newcastle on Saturday night. Already this season, that's shaping up to be quite a match. So that's Saturday night. All the coverage, of course, on 5 Live over the course of this weekend as we continue to bring you more Premier League commentaries than you'll hear anywhere else. Here is Rodri out to the left-hand side to Grealish.
Take him on.
Grealish into the full-back position against Jesus Navas. Flicks it back. Campos was there as well. Kovacic just gets there first. His second start for Manchester City after his move this summer. Kovacic back towards Rodri. And then Rodri up towards Akanji. Back it goes to Walker. Akanji in a very advanced position. Palmer plays it in. Haaland is there, leapt for the ball, got a touch on it, but with his back to goal, Foden, then back to Rodri, who's tripped, and that's a free kick. The challenge from Jordan, and a free kick to Manchester City in actually a very similar sort of position, but this one's right of centre as opposed to left of centre from the distance that we saw Phil Foden have a crack and hit Jordan in the wall.
Very smart though from Rodri, the way he gets his body and protects the ball. As a midfield player, you can't nick that and you give a foul away.
Free kick then for City, but with it being right of centre, it's Palmer, Grealish and Walker are there as well.
I think they'll probably look left, as in Jack Grealish might clip this towards Nathan Ake and Manuel Akanji. Little diagonal clip of about 20 yards, far post.
Bono's actually come right out of his 6-yard box, almost the penalty spot with some instructions for the wall. It's actually capped by Grealish. Palmer with a touch. Grealish curls it in. Bono comes. And just at the point where you think he's about to catch it, he actually punches it away.
Just catch it.
But good distance on the punch, but possession back to Manchester City. End of the last 5 minutes of the first half, and Manchester City just up against it. 1-0 down, and certainly not absolute free-flowing football of Manchester City at their best by a distance. Here's Walker, back out to the right. But Sevilla, as Don Hutchison said, making it difficult for them. They've got the 1-0 lead. They are sitting in there, saying to Manchester City, you're going to have to find a way through it. And they can't get that fizz going. Kovacic has been fouled. This one's between the centre circle and the edge of the penalty area, so this will have to be played in. Foden's going to come across. Walker, as befits him, walks across, taps it square. Foden now to the right hand side to Palmer. Everyone is back behind the ball for Sevilla. Gvardiol square towards Walker. He's going to have a crack for goal, but doesn't beat the first man. It was blocked by Rakitic, who is 8 or 9 yards away from him, and the ball actually rebounds all the way back into the Manchester City half, where Gvardiol has to go and get it.
Not often you'd say about a Guardiola side, they're a little bit predictable here, Man City.
They are.
Grealish will get it on the left-hand side, but instead of taking Navas on, he comes inside, goes across the field. Palmer's the one on that left foot that might put a dangerous cross in.
Here he is, Palmer up against Acuna, went one way then the other, came infield. Kanji's there on the edge of the box, back to Palmer. He got a touch at pace, back to Kovacic, 25 yards out. Kovacic is being hassled by Jesus Navas, and then it has to go back to Ake.
You literally could throw a blanket over about 20 players, couldn't you? Close to the 18-yard box. It's really narrow.
Yeah.
Great from Sevilla's point of view.
However, Manchester City, as Grealish is caught by Campos.
Better.
Clever from Grealish. Just
Better.
as he came in, Campos, Grealish just lifted the ball past him. Campos had already committed himself, brought down Grealish, who went sprawling down. Campos got it, immediately apologised.
Well, I'd like to see it again, because it looked like a bad foul, which would have been a yellow card. It was better from Jack Grealish, though. It should have been a yellow card. Campos catches him on the thigh, above the knee.
He knew it, Campos.
Look how high he is there on the replay.
Yeah. The sort of the flailing second foot.
That is a yellow card all day long.
Campos knew it. I think he expected to see the yellow card. And when the referee, the Frenchman, Le Tessier, came over, he actually sort of put out a hand and tapped his hand as if to say, thanks, mate, for not showing me a yellow card. Grealish is okay, and he's on his feet. 1-0 Sevilla lead. So just down in front of us here, Foden and Grealish in discussions. Grealish runs over the ball, outswinger from Foden then to the back post, which is headed down to Kanji with a shot, but that's blocked inside the penalty area. Hit one of those many bodies inside the Sevilla box, and then Sevilla clear it all the way downfield for Walker to give back to Ederson. Passes it out to Kovacic, who's got space here. Kovacic, and Kovacic just takes it over the halfway line as Sevilla retreat, and then as the ball is played to his right to Rodri, in comes the challenge. Heavy touch over there on the far side from Oliver Torres.
I just get the feeling when Man City have got the ball and they're playing it into midfield, Sevilla are setting traps for them. They're saying, go on, play it in that little pocket of space, because when we nick it, we've got 2 or 3 players. I think Jordan's done a really good job alongside Rakitic of not allowing the space, and they're trying to break very quickly, so they're setting traps for Man City.
Manchester City, though, you know, they're used to this sort of challenge. How many times do you see them playing against teams that have packed the defence and are saying to City, you have to find a way through us? Kovacic now with a run towards the edge of the penalty area. Haaland played into him, in amongst play. I mean, he was surrounded there. Haaland tried to get a touch back to Kovacic, wasn't able to do so. And it is one of those games as well where Haaland, I don't know what the touch count is for Haaland, but it won't be terribly high.
Well, you'd be happy if you're a Sevilla fan and you're watching balls go into Haaland's feet with about 5 players wrapped around him. It's not his strength.
Here is Grealish then. Grealish up against En-Nesyri, actually, who's back there, almost in his own left-back position with Grealish. Ake passes it forward. The City fans, you can hear them over on the far side. I suspect many of them might be coming here as part of a holiday, maybe heading off to the islands after this. The marina of Piraeus is just a short distance away, where all of the yachts are. The gleaming Mediterranean lapping against the harbour. Here is Ake to the left-hand side to Grealish. Grealish past Jesus Navas, now to Rodri on the edge of the box. Rodri leaves the defender on the ground, then couldn't find the pass through to Grealish. It was cut out by the falling Jesus Navas, but Rodri left his man, I think it was Jordan, wasn't it, who slipped and was left on the seat of his pants. Ball in towards Grealish on the edge of the box, but his touch was heavy. That was headed away by Acuna. That was more promising.
Yeah, he's dropped the shoulder well there, Rodri, but once he dropped the shoulder, he then brought the ball back onto his weaker left foot, and then he thought, I can't really take the strike on my left foot on the angle, it's not on.
Rodri, oh, what a pass! Foden across, all the way across the 6-yard box. Palmer's in there as well, angle very tight, and then in came the challenge from Acuna, who was able to nick it away, but City suddenly are finding a way through.
Better early ball into Phil Foden's feet, in behind that back line.
Great pass from Rodri, really slipped it down. It was De Bruyne like, wasn't it, to find that pass through there, the eye of the proverbial needle. Rodri again, back square to Gvardiol, now Grealish up against Jesus Navas again, went one way, then curls it in all the way beyond the far post, and Bono, who was, well, he didn't know, he looked as though he didn't know what he was going to do. Bono, whether he was going to come, leave it, and in the end left it, and he almost gives Acuna a big cuddle for the fact that they survived.
Yeah, it was the right ball to play from Jack Grealish, just worked the yard on Navas, then put it towards the far post. Kovacic was in there and Cole Palmer, but just a yard heavy on the cross.
So we are into added time at the end of the first half. 3 minutes of added time to be played. Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1. Just a reminder, if it does finish level at the end of the 90 minutes plus, it would be straight to penalties if you've just switched on to us tonight. But 1-0 Sevilla lead, and it is Sevilla who'd get their hands, Jesus Navas, on that Supercup trophy. Here is Ocampos back into his own half. Acuna who set up the goal for En-Nesyri, the cross from the left-hand side, back to Bono, and the Moroccan goalkeeper long from his left foot, that Akanji will just see the ball back to Ederson. Ocampos was battling for it, but Ederson, long and left-footed, Foden heads it back towards Gvardiol, and Gvardiol curls it forward, but Jesus Navas is quite happy to head that out. And I think that might be it. I make it just 5 or 6 seconds of the 3 minutes are to be played, and the referee's got his whistle in his mouth, and there it is, the end of the first half. with Manchester City creating chances but certainly not at their best. And Sevilla scoring the only goal so far, that towering header from Youssef En-Nesyri, Don Hutchison.
And it was a well-worked goal as well. The brilliant ball from Marcus Acuna on that left-hand side for Sevilla, who I feel have been quite comfortable. Yes, they've been without the ball, but they've been compact, they've been narrow, they've been hard to play against. And on the counter, with Lamelo's quality, the height, the strength, the pace of En-Nesyri, and Lucas Ocampos has been a threat. So I think Mendilibar will be a happy man going in at half-time. More problems for Guardiola at the break.
Yep, water bottles all round here after a sweltering first half that has ended Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1.
And the heat has to be taken into account, Don, doesn't it?
Well, it does when you haven't got the ball, but I think the way that Mendilibar's men have been narrow, compact, and the distances they've had to cover have not been massive, so it wouldn't be too taxing on their legs because they've been very, very smart. So City have got to keep moving the ball and they've got to stay patient.
And if ever I had a perfect pundit to talk about a towering header, Neil Lennon, that was sensational.
Yeah, I'll crack the jokes. Yeah, that's one of the best headers. It's one of the best headers I've seen for a long, long time. It was fantastic, Choppers, the way he got up and attacked it, and really powered it in the opposite corner. It was a magnificent goal, and it's given Sevilla something to hold on to, which is exactly what Mendilibar would have wanted. City have been dominant in possession, a little bit pedestrian in the final third, but I think you touched on it with the heat. I think the longer the game goes on, the gaps will start to open for City, and I can see this being a long second half for Sevilla.
There is something about it, isn't there? Just a towering header that goes back the other way, and you will have seen it, Neil, you've got your monitor in your studio as I have here. Just the precision of it, to go just in off the base of that left-hand post. It is a perfect header.
It was magnificent the way he got up, and then not only getting up between two centre halves, but he directed it as well. He's turned his head towards the post, and there wasn't a great deal of speed on the cross. He's had to generate the speed himself, and it's an art, and a dying art, if you want to call it, in the game. But when you see it like that, Choppers, it's still beautiful to watch.
Absolutely. Neil, for the moment, thank you. Don and John in Athens as well. So Sevilla lead the Super Cup final by 1-0 at the break. Second half on the way. During half-time, we'll talk about the Scotland Rugby Union World Cup squad for the tournament that starts in, less than a month's time now. Rory Lawson, former Scotland scrum half, will join us after the latest news with Anna Preston. And one bit of transfer news, Liverpool now in talks with Stuttgart to sign their midfielder Wataru Endo. So that's the latest we have there. Liverpool in talks with Stuttgart to sign midfielder Wataru Endo. I'm sure you can do your own joke about whether Chelsea are now going to make a bid or not. Back to Athens, Don Hutchison and John Murray.
I thought Neil Lennon said he was going to do the joke.
Yeah, but I think he's gone for a cup of tea, so.
Thank you very much. Here we are, no changes at the start of the second half. Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1 in the UEFA Supercup match here in Greece. So City with Ederson in goal, Walker, Akanji, Gvardiol and Ake, Rodri with Foden and Kovacic either side, and then Palmer on the right, Grealish on the left and Haaland through the middle as referee Le Tessier blows the whistle. And Sevilla get the second half underway in the all-red kit with the golden numbers on the back, and then an early foul for Kyle Walker's challenge on Ocampos on the Sevilla left wing. So it's a free kick for Sevilla, who have Bono in goal, the back four of Navas, Bade, Goodell and Acuna, and the midfield of Rakitic, Jordan and Oliver Torres. Ocampos sometimes on the right, but actually mainly on the left, Lamela and goalscorer En-Nesyri. And Don Hutchison watching it with us.
Well, now they've got to face early on a potential cross in the box from Acuna or Rakitic, so this will be going in the box. Just depends if it's the in-swinger from Rakitic or the out-swinger with Acuna's dangerous left foot. I think it'll be Rakitic.
Yeah, City holding their line on the edge of the box. Rakitic plays it in deep towards the back post. Gvardiol was after it. It got some contact, and I noticed Goodell, certainly, there are arms going up, suggesting that it might have struck a City hand in there. So VAR will be watching that. while play continues with Sevilla going all the way back towards the edge of their own box to goalkeeper Bono. I thought there might have been one or two changes at half-time given the hot conditions here tonight, but not yet. And Akanji passing it forward to Rodri, who goes all the way back to goalkeeper Ederson.
Well,
go on.
Sorry, I think first and foremost the team talk from Pep, I would imagine, would be to move the ball quicker, and they need to get Erling Haaland some chances. He's been starved of the ball.
And what do you think it is that Manchester City are missing tonight, would you say?
Well, they're trying to problem solve. They're coming up against a very stubborn side who are compact and narrow, so they've got to keep that ball moving, try and shift the midfield players around, get the ball in Erling Haaland's feet or Kovacic's feet, and try and be a goal threat, because they've not really been threatening.
Ake knocking the ball back to Ederson. City are being forced back, and Gvardiol had to do well there in the challenge, but he did actually. Came out with the ball, and then it's played for by Rodri to Kovacic, and Kovacic turns quickly, he's away over the halfway line, gives it to Palmer on the right hand side. Manchester City's number 80, then to Kovacic, who turns it across the edge of the 6-yard box, but the covering defender was there. Jordan it was, coming back from midfield to put it out of play for a throw to City level with the edge of the box.
Well, that looked like a piece of work done on the training ground where normally Kevin De Bruyne would put that ball in the box.
What's happening here, Don? Because the referee's saying, hang on, wait. Now, are they looking at a possible handball? It's got the hallmarks here of VAR saying, wait, we're having a look at... and we're just now seeing it on the television screen.
No, it's
here.
not handball, it hits Gvardiol's thigh.
Yeah, Gvardiol's jumping for the ball as it came over. His arm was down by his side, and it struck
Never been handball.
No, and so therefore...
But interesting run there from Kovacic. Normally they expect when De Bruyne's fully fit to get in that little pocket on the right hand side and then deliver the balls into the 18-yard box. So it's obviously something they're working on, Kovacic's game.
So Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Radio Manchester listeners are with us as well, so welcome to you. Inside the stadium here, the home of Olympiacos, one tier all the way round, hospitality boxes behind us, Supercup branding all over the place, and 10,000 Manchester City fans, or best part of that, inside watching from the stands, and hoping for better from Manchester City. Here is Gvardiol then on his full debut, his competitive full debut for Manchester City. Plays the ball in field towards Rodri, then Foden, back to Gvardiol. Here's Grealish on the left hand side into the box. Grealish dropping his shoulder, playing it back. Gvardiol's cross swept in left footed, that's headed away on the edge of the 6-yard area by Bade for Sevilla, and Manchester City take up possession again. Walker shapes the pass to Palmer, who does really well, turns his man. Palmer back to the edge of the box. Akanji with a shot, but straight into an opponent, and Sevilla will break away here on the counter-attack. Well played, Campos hurdles Walker. Campos is off downfield, across to En-Nesyri, who shoots into the body of Ederson, who's able to make the save, dropping down to his right. What a chance! What a chance for 2-0, not taken, Sevilla.
Oh, the family and the friends on our end where we're sitting realise it's a massive chance. The chance was coming for an absolute mile off. Kyle Walker was all in to try and stop the Campos, and once he got away from him, En-Nesyri he had loads of space to run into. The ball was a real good one. The finish wasn't really clinical. That was a massive chance to go 2-0 up.
Oh, the Sevilla supporters, Don's absolutely right, down in front of us here. See if we can find the En-Nesyris. Where are they? you can tell because they've all got
the
little
lamellas.
Yeah, they've all got little groups of them with all of the same name on the back. So I can see the Torreses down there, but I can't see the En-Nesyris. They've probably just put their coats on after he missed that chance. Scored a great goal in the first half, brilliant header, and we've got a stoppage here because the referee is coming across and going to show yellow card to someone on the bench for Manchester City.
Yeah, on the coaching staff. But interesting, Pep has sent about 4 or 5 Man City players to warm up after Sevilla had that chance.
Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1. I thought I could smell Spanish aftershave there when I leant forward. It's actually producer George has just sprayed us with insect repellent.
Brilliant.
So it's not aftershave. Manchester City 0, Sevilla
I've not
1.
seen one insect on this trip. How's he come up with that?
Well, he's obviously sensed it. Here's Campos again down the left-hand side. Walker trying to get there. Campos up against him. Walker does well. It's a little bit of hand being pulled back by Walker, pulling his man, but there wasn't enough. And Walker there having having been beaten by Ocampos once, he wasn't going to be beaten twice. And Manchester City's latest attack breaks down, and it's whacked away downfield by Jesus Navas, out of play. He was trying to get a touch off Foden actually, but it was out for a throw to Manchester City. So City nil, Sevilla 1, but City could easily be 2-0 down in this match after that chance was missed by En-Nesyri. Just shot at the goalkeeper, didn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't really convincing. I think the best two players, in my view, for Man City have been Rodri in the middle of the park and Vardiol. I think he's having a fantastic debut. It's the cutting edge at the top end of the pitch that's missing.
Yeah, agree with that. I've seen one or two bright bits and pieces from Palmer as well on the right hand side. There's Akanji's caught in possession, not for the first time in the match. This was just inside his own half. Ocampos plays it through. En-Nesyri, Ake's trying to get there. The angle's tight, and actually he shoots wide. A bit of a scuffed shot as Ake slid in. I did initially wonder whether Ake had got something on that, but he didn't. It was just a poorly hit shot wide of the near post.
And how many times does Akanji give the ball away in a dangerous area? I think that's the third or the fourth.
Yeah, sloppy.
Give the ball away again.
Give it away. Rodri this time. It's catching. 1-0 Sevilla lead, and Manchester City living dangerously here. Ocampos, who brings the ball forward, and then, well, there wasn't a great deal in that. He checked back as Rodri came in, and Ocampos went down very theatrically, and he is prone to this, Ocampos.
I love the way Ocampos has just held out his hand for Cole Palmer to pick him up, and the youngsters just walked straight past him.
Yeah,
blanked him.
Yeah, that was very Manchester, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From Cole Palmer. So it's a free kick for Sevilla. Should say.
I mean, they do look like the team that's going to get the next goal.
They do.
Man City have not really been threatening, apart from the first 5 or 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game.
And as well as, what is it about this display that Manchester City are missing? Don's answered what it is out there on the field, but what it also is De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, who's unwell, not here, and Gundogan,
Mahrez,
who has gone for good. Mahrez as well.
I tell you, they're up against a very, very good opposition as well. This is a seriously good Sevilla side.
Don't be fooled by their defeat against Valencia on Friday night. And they're taking an age of a time here to place the ball.
Well, Jordan's taken the Ronaldo run-up on the angle from about 30 yards, so this would be some effort.
Yeah, Juan Jordan is now coming up and hitting this ball right-footed, and Ederson got a good sight of it over the wall, but Ederson saw it and gathered it. Little juggle, but caught it quite comfortably just close to his right post. It looked very good, didn't it?
It was Ronaldo-esque, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did. And back it goes into the City half. Juan Jordan has come in because Fernando is not here, another player who's missing this match through illness, and the feeling was that new signing Djibril Sow would actually be involved in the match, the Swiss international who they signed from Eintracht Frankfurt this summer, but he's only among the substitutes, and Jordan is playing.
I know it's a feature of Erling Haaland's game, and we shouldn't really pay too much attention at the lack of touches, because 52 goals last season, 2 already in the Premier League, but he's hardly touched the ball. He's hardly touched it.
Similar in the Community Shield, wasn't it? And then he won the match for Manchester City against Burnley. The early goal, 2 goals, match over.
He's been well screened though.
Yeah,
Rakitic in front of him and Jordan.
Yeah.
As well as having 2 big centre-halves to deal with.
Yeah. And there's been very little space for him when the ball's not really been there either. And of course, Bade fouled him when there was the possibility in the first half. Here's Ocampos again on the left-hand side for Sevilla, causing problems up against Walker. It's a good contest this now. Ocampos played it inside Walker, but Kovacic had come across it, and it was blocked out of play for a throw on the left. Ocampos, the Argentine Don.
I wonder if he's thinking Pep. I wonder if he's thinking Julian Alvarez alongside Haaland, just to try and be a threat, try and get some chances.
Yeah, that would be certainly it does feel like it needs something. Throw in taken by Acuna to Ocampos, but then City are able to win it back, Palmer, and then Acuna in with a challenge. Palmer plays it forward, but Palmer's saying it took a touch. I'm not sure it did, and it is a throw into Sevilla near the halfway line. And confusion reigns here. I think there's a miscommunication between maybe the assistant and the referee, and Jose Luis Mendilibar, the Sevilla coach, looked confused as well. But anyway, it's a throw in for for Manchester City in the end, and they go back to Ederson. Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1, just over half an hour to play, and Manchester City lacking something. They've not created a chance in the second half yet to speak of, but here they come down the left now. Grealish getting the ball back from Foden. Grealish looking infield for Foden, but Grealish couldn't find the pass. Tries to win the ball back, but Rakitic had it quite comfortably. Former Barcelona Champions League winner. Now Oliver Torres returning the ball for Lamela on the right hand side. Lamela running at Gvardiol, coming cross field, and Lamela rolls the ball into the path of Ocampos in the box, and Ocampos curls it right across the 6-yard area, but beyond En-Nesyri's run, and it's a goal kick.
It's a classic case of getting caught in between two minds there. Ocampos is thinking, the red shirt, far post, I'll clip it in there, but also I might just try and bend it in the bottom corner, and it was right in between both.
Ocampos, who you'll normally see if you watch Sevilla last season, on the right hand side, but he's been playing mainly on the left here, and I think he's a decent talent. Ocampos, 29 years old, nearly went to Ajax in the first part of last season. Deal was agreed, went on loan but hardly played, and then came back and played a really big part in Sevilla's recovery last season, ultimately ending up in winning the Europa League in Budapest.
He's got the tools, hasn't he? Because he's a good size, he's quick, he's got good skill, he can take players on.
Palmer down the right now. Palmer looking for the run of Kovacic, but Kovacic is being shielded by the run of Gudel, who's also a real rugged defender, isn't he? Gudel, a Serbian, lots of experience, and he saw it out for a goal kick. So it remains Manchester City 0, Sevilla 1. Goal kick to Sevilla on this day. I hope you were listening earlier, if you're out and about, and hearing Vicky Sparks and Karen Bardsley with a commentary from Sydney. There's a special World Cup semi-final edition of the Football Daily that is out now on Sounds, so Serena Wiegmann's on there, many of the players as well, so you can get that from BBC Sounds. And then 5 Live, it's going to be quite a day on Sunday. We're on air from 10 o'clock in the morning, live from Sydney with Juliet Ferrington. Kick-off 11 o'clock for the World Cup final, Spain against England. And once all of that is done and dusted, we have Aston Villa, Everton and West Ham, Chelsea. Whereas on Saturday, 2 Premier League commentaries, Liverpool, Bournemouth at 3 o'clock. Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis together as City play the ball forward, but Goodell's able to come across. And also Tottenham against Manchester United on 5 Live at 5:30.
I think I'll give Pep about 2 or 3 minutes and a change is going to be imminent.
Yeah,
you can't be happy watching this.
Guardiola has played the ball behind Walker. Palmer kept it in, and we have half an hour to go. 4 Manchester City substitutes are warming up down there. Foden turns, does well actually in the tight area, manages to find Grealish. Grealish now running at Jesus Navas, but they've got quickly 3 men back in there in the red. Sevilla square from Rodri. Akanji just took a touch which took it wide of him, back to Palmer. Cole Palmer coming in field, wanted to shoot left-footed, but again he's closed down, he's run into the congestion there. Foden plays it back out to the left-hand side. Gvardiol overran it, and therefore it's bounced away. And now En-Nesyri carries it forward for Sevilla. It's missed by Ake, and now they burst forward, Sevilla, and En-Nesyri's waiting in the middle, and it takes a little touch off the toe of Walker, and that meant that Ederson could come out and grab the ball before En-Nesyri got there.
Oh, Jesus Navas was a fraction away on the right-hand side from Freund and his front man. An inch away, vital touch shot from Carl Walker. Living on the edge here, City.
They are, City. As I say, have not conceded 2 goals in a match since January, but they're very close to doing that in this one. In this UEFA Supercup match here, way down in the southeast of Europe. Gvardiol with the ball on the left-hand side. Here is Grealish again. Into the last half hour now. Rodri, ball in towards the back post, but that's won in the air. Won well actually by Ocampos, who was back inside his own penalty area, and then it's played out by Acuna to him. And Ocampos and the 2 Argentines together there on this flank, playing the ball back to Acuna. Palmer closes him down, but Acuna plays it centrally. En-Nesyri with a flick that everyone enjoyed inside the stadium.
Flick in the air.
It was, and now Ocampos with a pass downfield for En-Nesyri. 2 City defenders there in Gvardiol and Ake either side of him, and they just managed to get a touch, and then Ake is bundled over by Lamela.
Yellow.
And that's a free kick, and a yellow card for Eric Lamela.
Brilliant skill from En-Nesyri. Ball clipped up to him and a Cruyff flick in the air down to his teammate, but him and Ocampos are linking up incredibly well.
It was quite a piece of skill, wasn't it? En-Nesyri was leaping in the air, and as he did so,
he really reminds me of Freddie Canute. And no, he does in his style. I played with Freddie. So much skill.
There's a little bit of giraffe in there as well with his long limbs, but he pulled it off brilliantly. Here's Walker now to Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish, low ball in. Foden tries to give him it back, and that's whacked away by Bade, a waist-high volley that runs out of play near the halfway line.
It's almost like you're watching a Phil Foden and a Jack Grealish that are just getting up to speed.
Yeah,
almost
absolutely.
like it's almost like they've had a slow pre-season and they're not 100% because they're giving really sloppy balls away.
Kovacic goes in, good challenge centre field. The ball bounces back and across to Walker. Kyle Walker back to Kovacic. Kovacic slips it to the right hand side to Palmer now. Palmer again comes infield, plays the ball across, gets a flick off a Sevilla leg, but it's carried to Rodri. Rodri back to Foden. Foden leans over and passes the ball back to Rodri, and in comes the cross from Rodri to the back post, and it's headed back and across again. And Manchester City find their equaliser to make it 1-1, and Cole Palmer at the back post, off balance but able to get his head to it, back across goal, and it dropped into the Sevilla net. And the young man has scored a goal on this big stage to make it Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1.
Oh, it's a brilliant ball, and it was well timed. He was onside, he ran from deep. I think once the cross comes in, I think all the centre-backs are looking towards Erling Haaland, but it was Rodri with a clip ball about 25 yards to Cole Palmer, and he does incredibly well. It's one of them where you try and guide it towards the far post, even trying to knock it down a little bit towards Haaland, but he definitely goes for goal. It's brilliant skill from the youngster. Such a hard skill to try and head that over the top of Bono and dropping it into the corner, taking a lot of weight off the cross.
So Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1, and Manchester City, well, they've hauled themselves out of a little bit of a hole there. Sevilla could have had 1, 2, maybe more goals in the second half, not able to take their chances, and that's their first attempt on target in the second half.
Well, don't underestimate as well how much Guardiola wants this, because when that ball dropped in the back of the net, the staff and all the players from Man City were celebrating big time.
But Sevilla trying to respond to Campos again through the En-Nesyri, and En-Nesyri shoots and tried to slip it underneath Ederson.
Chance.
And Ederson just got something on that. He might even have saved it with his backside as it was going underneath him, but he took enough of the pace off it. It was his leg, actually, his trailing leg, and it stays out, and En-Nesyri could have had a hat-trick in the second half.
I tell you, if he could have that chance again, En-Nesyri would dink it over the goalkeeper. He tried to go through Ederson's legs, which then give the Brazilian a chance to make the save, and he's made the save. Ederson again, another chance. Sevilla could have scored 4 tonight. The chances they've created, not half chances, bearing down on the goalkeeper, 1v1s.
And that was a Campos and En-Nesyri for the third time combining in the second half alone, and really at least one of them should have ended up in the back of the net. Manchester City are very fortunate here to be on level terms. But Grealish is fouled, drew the foul in a classic Jack Grealish way, and a free kick in a good position after Jordan just stepped in on him, caught him. Free kick towards the left-hand side. So Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1, and 21-year-old Cole Palmer, Manchester City fan growing up, Manchester boy. And he's caused the Mancunians in here in their sky blue shirts. You can see a couple of the inflatable bananas have made it all the way to Athens as well, that are being clapped around in the stands. Free kick, Grealish runs over it. Foden plays it into the back post. It's headed away. Campos was underneath that, and then Palmer on the edge of the area. I think the whistle might have gone, actually, did it? Anyway, it is Sevilla's ball, and Bono will hit it downfield. So Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1. Last I heard it was QPR 0, Norwich 0. In fact, tell us, Aaron, is it?
It is still QPR 0, Norwich 0. Same old story really, John. Both sides enjoying plenty of possession. There's little in the way of final third quality, though. Ashley Barnes has just planted a point-blank header wide for the visitors. Penalties await if it stays like this, 0-0.
So it could be penalties there, could be penalties here in Greece as well with a 1-1 scoreline. Could be penalties after the 90 minutes. It's actually, after all that, it's Sevilla and coach Mendilibar who's going to make the first change. And Kovacic coming forward, and he finds Haaland, and Haaland then back to Foden, who couldn't find a way through, and Gvardiol on the edge of the box as it bounces back, hits a shot that is deflected wide for a Manchester City corner from the left. And they're going to bring on Sevilla, a teenager in Juanlu Sanchez, who is a defender, right back or centre back. So I wonder if that might be Jesus Navas in the heat of Greece. Corner is taken short by Manchester City, played into the area to Gvardiol, but it bounces away from him. Ake is after this. Ake threw himself down. Acuna with a challenge. I think that might have been the right decision there. No free kick. Akanji gets up, catches up with it first for Manchester City, and now Kovacic again.
It's given them a lifeline, the goal, hasn't it? Yeah. You can see there's a spring in their step.
Yeah, much more about that last little move forward, wasn't there? 5 Live and Radio Manchester from the BBC. Here's Grealish again. Grealish into the penalty area, then lays it back. Foden with a cross, but that's headed away by Goodell. Back out towards the right-hand side where it's played forward to Sevilla, where Rodri is able to dispossess Jordan. And then Kovacic back to Rodri again, and Rodri, simple pass, short pass to Grealish, corner of the penalty area, runs across the edge of the box. Rodri, simple again, just a little ball to Foden this time, who's there for Manchester City. Then back to Gvardiol, and Gvardiol in the white boots as City have possession inside the Sevilla half.
I think he could play the game in his slippers, Rodri.
And I mean, Jordan
keeps it moving.
Jordan there with the challenge. Rodri just shrugged him off.
Just keeps it moving. 5-10 yard passes. Great positional sense. Always his head on the swivel. Now he'll take it on the back foot. He's got the option of the Kanji or the diagonal to Cole Palmer. Never wastes a pass.
1-1 the score. Akanji now to the right hand side to Palmer. No immediate sign of Manchester City changes now that they've got the equaliser. Kanji back to Rodri again. Manchester City, who beat Sevilla quite comfortably twice last season, but that was in the difficult spell of the season in the Champions League group in the first half of the campaign. Gvardiol's low ball into the edge of the area, that's cleared away. Foden, touch back to Haaland. Now Grealish on the left hand side again in the full back position. Right footed ball in, curling it to the back post, but headed down and away by Acuna. And then Ocampos will run it away, but he's lost it. I don't know if he stood on it. Palmer beats Acuna, curls it, but Bono diving to his right, had a good sight of it to his right, and pushes it away wide of goal for a corner. But excellent play from Palmer.
Yeah, he won the ball back, and then he's dropped the shoulder, and now he was bearing down on the 18-yard box. The ball was slightly trapped between his feet. He was trying to dig it out and aim for the top left-hand corner. To finish that, we've seen him do that before. It was just trapped. It's a difficult skill once it was sort of stuck between his feet.
Here's the corner, taken short, Foden to Grealish, and then Grealish back to Palmer again. It's chipped in this time, but that was misplaced and bounces through. We'll forgive him that, perhaps after his very good headed equaliser and that last little excellent piece of play where he sent Acuna sliding in the wrong direction. So we will finally now see the first substitution of the match, as Juanlu Sanchez is coming on, but also I think we'll have a drinks break now. So the who is it who's coming off? Oliver Torres from the midfield. So that's an interesting one. We'll have to see where he goes. Juanlu Sanchez, who still in the early stages of his career, academy player, and as I say, really a right back or a centre back. So the number 26 will come on for Sevilla. And while the players are taking drinks here, the official drinks break, we'll cross back to the studio and see what Neil Lennon's got to say about this.
Well, it's a cracking game, John, I have to say, and it's a bit cruel on Sevilla at the minute because, you know, for 20 minutes of the second half they're outstanding, and like you guys touched on, this, you know, they could have been 2 or 3 up, and then City, being City, find a bit of quality to get themselves back into the game, which they haven't really deserved, and now the game's finally poised again. But it's a fascinating watch. I think Sevilla have been terrific tonight, and City have had to really dig deep to get that equaliser. Cole Palmer had still a lot to do with the header, and he's placed it in beautifully. But it was totally against the run of play, John, in terms of chances. So it's going to be an interesting last 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. More from Neil Lennon with Mark Chapman at the end of this match on 5 Live. And players just ending their drinks break now and getting back into position here in the heat of Athens. In the official programme tonight, the president of the Hellenic Football Federation said this is the country which gave birth to democracy, philosophy, theatre, poetry and the Olympic Games. And tonight I'm bringing 5 Live's Fact of the Day to this great city. And that was last Friday, the first fact of the day of the season on Drive, that Moises Caicedo, when he was growing up in Ecuador, his nickname was the Octopus. So that for 5 Live's Fact of the Day, the first of the season, which was correctly picked out by yours truly. So the defending champion off to a sparkling start, and you can hear the next thrilling instalment this Friday afternoon. Manchester City won, Sevilla won. And I think we're ready now. That was a lengthy one, wasn't it, that drinks breakdown, but I'm not surprised.
No, I've seen the replay as well, and it was Marcus Acuna, the left back for Sevilla, that switched off when Rodri put the cross in, and he just allowed Cole Palmer to drift off the back of him.
They've still not brought Wanlu on.
He's got his bib back on.
In fact, he's been announced as coming on, but here he is, he's just putting the bib on off the field, so we've not had the change yet. And he's put the bib on. Now he's been told, take the bib off, Wanlu. What have you put that back on for?
Unless the player had a knock.
Yeah,
and someone might have recovered.
That'll be it. So 1-1. Could be penalties. Sevilla have got a brilliant record at penalties. Incidentally, they've won 6 out of the 7 penalty shootouts they've been involved in European competitions. Most recently in Budapest in the final. Wonder if they'll bring on Montiel to take one. Here is Palmer on the right. Palmer getting away from Acuna now, taking it on at speed into the penalty area on the right hand side, but Acuna did well, actually managed to get back next to him and was able just to nip it away from Cole Palmer. And then Ocampos, there's a little bit of a reaction there from Ocampos on Rodri, who was away with the ball, and then Foden shoots, but he was under pressure. Goodhell clears it away rather awkwardly on the edge of his own box, and then Ocampos can't keep it in against Akanji, and it's a throw into Manchester City, and they are now going to make the change. So finally Wanlu is going to come on, and it is Oliver Torres who's coming off. So that's the second. The board actually went up and he didn't come off the field previously. So Oliver Torres is off, and Wanlu just waiting to come on. Sevilla really ruining those chances that En-Nesyri should have scored. 49th minute, 51st minute, 64th minute, and the third of them just after Manchester City had equalised. So the teenager Wanlu is on, and City have a throw on the right with Walker. Kyle Walker goes back towards Rodri near the halfway line, and then to Ake. Gvardiol now, the Croatian World Cup player. Gvardiol, who's straight into the theme of socks, 3/4 of the way down his calves. Gvardiol then square towards Walker. Palmer's available on the right. He's pulled away right towards the white line, and now he receives it. Palmer then back in field towards Walker, and the exchange passes again. Haaland waits on the edge of the penalty area. Akanji square to the left hand side to Ake, his hair bobbing. Gvardiol again. Here's Rodri, substantial figure of Rodri, just gets the foot under the ball and swings it out to Palmer. Palmer against Acuna. Acuna watching him closely. Palmer gets away. It just opens up there. He went for goal, but in that moment he was closed down and it was blocked away, but it comes back to Palmer. Well, 25 yards out. Referee allows play to continue. Ake out to Grealish again. Grealish just stops the ball with the top of his foot. 2 men on him. Back to Gvardiol. Gvardiol low into the edge of the penalty area. Kovacic with a touch, but that's volleyed away by Jesus Navas high into a central area, and then headed forward into the box by Rodri, but harmlessly so, and goalkeeper Bono has got it.
I think you can tell with a little bit more development how good Cole Palmer's actually going to be. He's playing well in this game. He's got a trick, he's got good balance.
I've liked him most times I've seen him, and it's still just been glimpses with the injuries that he had last season. There was a bit of talk, wasn't there, that he might go out on loan this season, but I just fancy that Guardiola will have greater plans for him, and in fact he's effectively said that. But here he is starting this big game and having scored in it. But City coming forward. Foden's ball from the left-hand side. Goodell was under it because Haaland was just behind him, and he just got his head to it. Still City. Gvardiol now lays the ball into the space down the left-hand side. Foden cuts it back. Heads away by a defender, and then comes out to Gvardiol, who swings a leg at it, but two men were there to close it down and block it away. And it comes back for Manchester City again to take up possession. That was another example there, Don, of what you're saying about Gvardiol being very quickly into the swing of things. That was he was very much the Manchester City pass, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's grown into the game. He's showed real quality when he's got the ball. Now he's got the confidence because he's stepping higher up the pitch.
City, the ball, middle of the Sevilla half. Rodri to Akanji. And then through the middle to Kovacic. Palmer. Short pass to Kovacic, infield towards Walker now. As the challenge comes in on him, he was still able to turn his body and give it to Kovacic, who passes it to the left-hand side. Gvardiol back into the area. Lovely turn in the box by Foden. Defenders in there, and one of them has just got a touch back to Bono, who passed it away across his penalty area. But the clearance has just landed possession back with Manchester City. Nathan Ake, down the left. Here's Grealish again, at pace this time. Grealish coming in field. Three players converge on him, and he does have the ball taken away from him. And Sevilla are being pushed right back at the moment.
That's exactly what I was going to say. For the first time in the match now, Sevilla under pressure. They can't get hold of the ball. When they do, they're giving it away. City have looked a yard sharper. And territory now, City are all over Sevilla in the top end of the pitch.
Kovacic just pulls away, turns in field. Challenge came in from Ocampos, looking a little tired now, I must say. Walker forward towards Kovacic, now to the right-hand side. City are cranking it up here. Palmer's left-footed ball in towards the back post with Grealish arriving. Defender was just in there. Jesus Navas, I think it might have been, who stayed down. And City taking up possession again. It is Jesus Navas, but he's just climbed back to his feet. City still in possession. They've just kept possession while Navas was making his way back into his right-back role. Crossfield pass is just headed back to Acuna, who might be caught in possession inside the box. He's given it away. He's given it to Haaland. Kovacic in the area. Back to Haaland. His shot blocked towards the edge of the penalty area. Defenders throwing themselves in front of the Haaland shot. Now Walker on the right. Walker's low ball across, deflected right across the edge of the 6-yard box. And the Manchester City supporters down that end wondering how this hasn't ended up in the net yet. Grealish, he takes it on. Defenders there to block it behind.
There were screams everywhere in front of us. The Sevilla fans panicking big time. City pushing. Kyle Walker delivered across the 6-yard box, and it took a couple of ricochets. It could have landed anywhere. Bono just got a touch on it.
So it is a corner to Manchester City. Out on the left-hand side, Haaland had his opportunities. He's just untying and tying up that long blonde hair again.
I think Jesus Navas, he's got a touch of cramp.
Okay.
Fatigue starting to set in.
Yeah, well, he did take a bang, didn't he, in that last period of play. Here's the corner then for Manchester City, but that's headed away. Rakitic was underneath it for Sevilla, and the ball runs to the halfway line. Just over 10 minutes to play. We are in the 80th minute now, and it's 1-1. Sevilla taking the lead in the first half through the En-Nesyri header, but Cole Palmer equalising in the 63rd with his also well-judged header. Grealish tries a shot from out on the left-hand side, but straight at Bono, who is able to just pat it down and pick it up on the bounce.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad hit from Grealish. He got loads of power. Better goalkeeping though, didn't punch it, just took it in his stride there, the keeper.
Don't often see that from Grealish, do you? To do that, which is just a little different. Went for goal from there.
Well, I think out the two wide players of Man City, I think Cole Palmer's been very, very good because he looks more effective. Dropping the shoulder, putting lots of crosses in the box. Well, I think Jack Grealish tonight's looked a little bit predictable.
Yeah, when Palmer has had it, he's looked full of energy. And the pace has just been slower, hasn't it, when it's been Grealish?
And he's also mixed his game up. Yeah. Being a left footer, he's put some good crosses in with his left foot, but then he's kept the defender Acuna guessing because sometimes he goes on the outside on his right foot.
Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1. This ball's played out from the back, and Sevilla are going to make their second change, and it is Montiel who's preparing to come on with the possibility of penalties approaching, the penalty expert. Campos, though, as Sevilla come forward, swings over the cross, and it was actually Juanlu who was in there, but City were able to get it away. Bounces back out. Jesus Navas with the cross. It was actually blocked by the outstretched leg of Grealish, and then an overhead kick from Foden to clear the danger further away. Rakitic now down the right-hand side. Sevilla have got En-Nesyri in the middle. Here's the cross. Well, Campos was arriving as well, but Walker crucially got his head to that. Campos thought he was in there. Acuna with a cross, that's dangerous. En-Nesyri jumps, he didn't get there. And now Jesus Navas, in comes another one. That's headed up in the air by Akanji. Suddenly it's Manchester City who are really being tested here, with balls coming in from both flanks. And in the end it's rolled out for a throw on the far side.
Well, that's got to give you a massive lift. The Sevilla fans applauding the efforts the last couple of minutes from Sevilla, and that has to be the way forward for them. When they get the ball wide, don't be shy in putting crosses in the box. There's lots of height in there with Campos and Naziri.
Sounded like the QPR Norwich game was going to penalties, but Aaron Paul?
It's not, it's all over. QPR 0, Norwich 1, a goal at the death for the visitors, who pushed and pushed in the 8 minutes of added on time. Ball in from the right, there was Jonathan Rowe, and the back stick to head past Joe Walsh in the Ars goal. Norwich heading to round 2 to face Bristol City just. QPR 0, Norwich 1 full time.
Thank you, Aaron. It's Jesus Navas who is going off, and Gonzalo Montiel comes on to replace him, the World Cup winner, the unlikely hero after the World Cup final, dominated by Messi and Mbappe, but ultimately decided by Gonzalo Montiel, the man who went on to score also the winning penalty in the Europa League final for Jose Luis Mendilibar's Sevilla. So Montiel is on, and if we do have a penalty shootout, I think we can write him in for number 5, Don. Yeah. So it's a throw in for Sevilla, and with this scoreline of 1-1, that's what we'll have in about 10 minutes or so, penalty shootout under the dark skies of Athens, down here in Piraeus, actually, the port of Athens. Sevilla take this throw and then back towards the halfway line. Certainly wouldn't rule out the possibility of a goal deciding it, though, here. There've been chances aplenty in the second half now at both ends. Alvarez is going to come on. That's going to be the first change that Pep Guardiola is making here tonight. Another Argentine World Cup winner. Sevilla attacking towards the end where their supporters are, and here's Jesus Navas, the ever popular Jesus Navas, being applauded around by all of the Sevilla family and friends as he makes his way back to the dugout, the former Manchester City man, and he is limping as well. But his team, Sevilla, with a Campos, right-footed cross, and Naziri's after it. Ederson comes a long way in amongst a crowd of players, gets it out. He actually gets it out to Jordan, and then misplaced pass crossfield by Acuna, straight out of play for a throw.
Kicks it out for a throw-in. But I think they've took heart, Sevilla, from the last couple of minutes by just getting the ball wide and putting crosses in the box.
And here's the change, first change for Manchester City. And it's the goal scorer, the City goal scorer, Cole Palmer. And Alvarez, on he comes. Did score against Sevilla in the Champions League last season in those group matches. And actually, you know, when you think that he got 17 goals in all competitions, Alvarez, without ever really being a regular starter, that was a very promising first season.
Yeah, so a little switch in tactics. Now Phil Foden's come over to the right-hand side for Man City. Grealish is obviously staying wide left, and Alvarez now playing as a partner for Haaland.
Yeah, we've seen this as well, haven't we? It's another of the many, many variations that Manchester City can play. Sevilla scarves being twirled underneath us. Sevilla Los Hispalenenses, which is from the ancient name of Hispalis, the ancient name of Seville. And Rafa Mia is going to be the next man to come on, the centre forward for Sevilla. So Mendilibar bringing on a forward, probably with a thought to penalties as well. Penalty taker Rafa Mia, and Manchester City coming forward, trying to snuff out the prospect of penalties by winning the game in regulation time. Walker to Grealish. Now Gvardiol. Gvardiol angles it back, and the shot from Rodri hits a defender inside the penalty area, comes back out to Gvardiol. Kovacic slips the ball to Foden, right side of the box. Foden, all action, arms swinging, is actually forced further out of the penalty area by Campos, who does not let him rest on the ball, puts in a strong challenge, bounces out of play. It's been given as a throw-in to Sevilla, which Foden's not very happy about, and there's a man down on the edge of the penalty area as well.
I think it should have been a Man City throw, but it was good work from Campos.
So Rafa Mir's coming on, and Suso as well, who was a little surprisingly left out of the starting lineup tonight, although there has been talk of him moving on from Sevilla as well. Suso, who remember was a youngster at Liverpool, and now there is one of the players has gone down with cramp on the edge of the penalty area. Is that Jordan? I think it is. And so they're just delaying this substitution while they see how Jordan is. So no changes yet. The two Sevilla players still waiting to come on. Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1 is the score. And we're into the last 3 minutes now of the 90. Walker just down in front of us, doesn't keep the ball in. So it's a throw-in to Sevilla. Just down in front of the dugout. Coach Mendilibar is just walking out of his technical area to speak to the two substitutes, and the throw-in is going to be taken by Acuna, so still no change yet. Rakitic, who's now got the captain's armband on after Jesus Navas went off, out to the right-hand side now to Juanlu. Gvardiol puts in a strong challenge on him, leaves him on the ground. Headed forward from Rodri, Kovacic, then to Alvarez. Alvarez now. Grealish receives it on the left wing. Grealish, lovely balance, still going, the ball rolling at his feet, and then he curls a low ball back to Rodri. Here's Kovacic just outside the D, back to Rodri, Champions League final winning goal scorer, to Grealish, and Grealish whips it in, but that's headed down and away by Bade. City again in possession, Gvardiol and Ake. Nathan Ake looked to his right. We're in the 89th minute now, still poised at 1-1. Rodri goes to the left-hand side. City facing the possibility of being involved in a penalty shootout for the second time in 3 matches after the Community Shield. Gvardiol, then right-footed all the way across from Rodri to Foden, 2 men on him. Foden back to Walker. Walker clips it in over the top of Haaland. Defender got his head to it. Comes out to Grealish. He's in the full-back position. Soon he'll be in the box though, Grealish, which he is now. And then Gvardiol is there. Low ball across. Kovacic with a shot, but that was weakly hit, miss-hit. And Goodell was able to get it away on the edge of the box. And then there is a foul for Manchester City and a yellow card for the teenager, for Wanlu, the substitute.
They can't get the subs on. I'm not sure the numbers board's working. So Sevilla can't make the 2 changes.
So has anybody got a pen and paper? Do you think the heat's got into it? Well, if they are going to make these changes, I mean, the fourth official is hanging around with the.
He's already swapped one of them.
Fingers?
It's the second one. No, it's the second numbers board that he swapped.
Oh, we've got a spare one.
Yeah, look.
It's the Super Cup done. Of course, we've got a spare.
Yeah, but which one's working? Look, he's got 2.
We've got 2 now, and they're just having a go to see if they can get the numbers up on this board. No. Batteries. Free kick then. Foden into the back post, and Ake arrives. Full length diving header down into the ground. It bounced up, and Bono pushed it over the top for a corner.
He should score. He should score there, Nathan Ake. Yes, he's under a little bit of pressure, which makes him panic slightly, but he's sort of just level with the post, maybe a yard outside the post. City pushing here.
Corner taken, short, and then finds its way to Grealish. Grealish shoots, that's blocked on the edge of the penalty area. 4 minutes of added time are being played, and after that, if there are no further goals, it'll be a penalty shootout to decide this Super Cup. And still Sevilla haven't been able to get these 2 substitutes on. Foden forward towards Laporte. Actually, this could be significant, because there are forward players, Suso and Rafa Mir, who Sevilla will want on the field for a penalty shootout.
Well, in hindsight, I mean, the players wouldn't know it on the pitch, but if you kept the ball for the next 3 or 4 minutes and don't allow the players on, you might have an advantage.
Well, a little bit like Italy and England, remember, in the Euro final at Wembley. Here's Rodri going out to the left-hand side, and then Kovacic. Manchester City trying to find a way through for a late winner. Remember how they were denied against Arsenal at Wembley in the Community Shield? Well, we're in added time now, and Walker goes for goal from 25 yards plus, dipping over the crossbar. Just flicked the roof of the netting on the way over the top, and it's a goal kick. And Sevilla players have gone down, two of them with cramp. And we will now see the changes. Lamela is off, so no penalties for Lamela. And Suso coming on to replace him.
And En-Nesyri.
Substitution for Sevilla, number 15, Youssef En-Nesyri.
So the man who scored the opening goal, but has missed 2-3 good chances in the second half. The centre forward is not required for the penalty shootout, and Rafa Mia is going to come on to replace him, the number 9 who scored against Manchester City in the Champions League last season.
So that's Mendilibar potentially prepping for penalties, bringing Suso on.
Yep.
Technician from the penalty spot.
Yep. So 2 changes made, and Pep Guardiola's still just made the one change in these stiflingly hot temperatures. Newcastle to play at the Etihad on Saturday night, but just the one change. But that's not unusual for Pep Guardiola, not to make many substitutions, as you probably know. Walker in quite firmly on Ocampos, who's thrown himself down, and this is rather like the Europa League final of last season. It's happened right in front of the dugout, and all of the substitutes and coaching staff are up off their feet, running to the edge of the technical area in the referee's line of sight.
That weren't great from the Sevilla bench. About 5 or 6 players on the bench, all asking for that imaginary yellow card. It wasn't even a bad tackle from Kyle Walker, it was just a foul.
No. Well, Roma were terrible in that Europa League final, but Sevilla weren't that far behind them, I didn't think. Free kick, Rakitic to take, still 1-1, 5 Live, and Radio Manchester live from the Olympiacos Stadium as Manchester City win a free kick. Ocampos, he's certainly been involved in the second half, was all over Foden, who went tumbling over, and it's a free kick. And well done, we've got 30 seconds left, if that, before we'll have a penalty shootout to decide who wins the Supercup. City played out from the back, so there is time for one more attack, perhaps. Gvardiol back to Ederson. He'll have to hit it long. Just trying to think. Not sure Haaland has actually had a clear chance to score in the match.
I would love to see a touch map of Erling Haaland tonight. How many touches he's had and where have they been?
Ball bounces out on the halfway line. I think that is going to be it. We've had over 4 minutes now. We did have substitutes, didn't we, in added time, so maybe another 30 seconds to play. Walker, the Sevilla bench are waving their arms. They want the final whistle to go. They want the penalty shootout. But City still coming forward with Rodri. Rodri approaching the D, playing it to his left to Gvardiol. Gvardiol works it back. Alvarez couldn't find a way through on the edge of the box, and that's it. There we are, 1-1. Manchester City, heavy favourites, strong favourites, the Champions League winners, the treble winners, to beat Sevilla, who finished 12th in La Liga last season, but it's finished 1-1. Don Hutchison.
Well, surprisingly, all the Sevilla family right below us are celebrating like they've won it, so they might fancy themselves for penalties here.
And fair enough, scoreline?
No, I think Sevilla have carved out enough chances to win the game. I think Ederson's been the busier 2 goalkeepers. I think possession-wise and the way City played in the last 20 minutes, half an hour, they were so much better, but they could have been 2 or 3 down.
Very good. So penalty shootout to follow after it finished Manchester City 1, Sevilla 1 here.
And Neil Lennon is with us as well. And yet, as Don has alluded to, Neil, the stats on the possession alone, 70% of the ball for City, 30 for Sevilla. The shots on target are not that much different, actually. 7 for City and 4 for Sevilla, and the number of total passes, City are nearly 3 times as many as Sevilla.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, Sevilla would expect that, Choppers, going into the game. City dominate possession, but the way the counter-attack, particularly, the 15 minutes, 20 minutes after half-time, their tactics were brilliant, and the way they executed them, they just lacked that, killer touch, because they were by far the better team in that period. And then City go and score basically out of nowhere, really. Great goal from Cole Palmer, and then again City were pressing for the winner, but they looked a little bit pedestrian tonight, which is understandable. Only 2 or 3 games into the season, and obviously they got another big game coming up on Saturday. But over the 90 minutes, I agree with Don. I think Sevilla, just on chances alone, deserve to win it.
Yeah, overall, you're not going to make massive judgments or assessments about City on tonight, are you?
No, I look at Guardiola and you can tell he's not match fit, Choppers, and the 90 minutes will do him the world of good. Akanji in the double pivot position, that's not going to last long throughout the season. So, there are bits and pieces that they're going to work on and get better with for sure. But, there's no panic, that's for sure. I wouldn't worry too much about the overall performance.
And actually, the more players like Guardiola and Kovacic get minutes within this City setup, because we've seen numerous players join City and take a year to get up to speed. So the more minutes they get as early as possible, the better. It's an obvious thing to say.
No, but you're right. You're right. And you know that, from my own experience or from playing or managing, you don't really hit your peak performances until you're maybe 5-6 games into the season, and you start really flowing. So this is all understandable, but the 90 minutes will do all the players the world of good. Going to have a penalty shootout now. Hopefully they can come back with another trophy, but the main thing now will be to get home, get rested, and get ready for a cracking game on Saturday. But in terms of the performance, they dominated possession, but you got to give Sevilla a lot of credit. I thought they were excellent. They worked so hard off the ball and counter-attacked brilliantly.
The team talks that have been going on are, Don, I've just watched Pep Guardiola look like he's still giving tactical instructions to Erling Haaland and Jack Grealish, when all they've really got to do is thump home a penalty.
Yeah, he's probably just looking at the bigger picture. He probably knows he's not really Pep is. He's not really in control of what happens next. So he's probably just analysing the 90 minutes that he's just saw in his head, and he's analysing for future games. So this one now is all about the bottle. It's all about your skill. It's all about your temperament. And let's see who gets it, because it's a lottery. You're never quite sure what's going to happen. It's unpredictable.
Well, England are through to the Women's World Cup final. They'll play Spain on Sunday morning. All the build-up here on 5 Live from 10 o'clock from inside the stadium in Sydney with Juliet Farrington and the team. Full commentary from 11 o'clock. The first half hour of tonight's show was all about that. You can listen again via BBC Sounds. And we have the Football Daily pod ready to go at some point with more reaction to England's achievement down under. We've got various length versions to get away, so if you could rattle through this, John Murray, it'd be much appreciated, and then we can crack on with that.
So that guarantees 13-12. Right, so here we are in the warmth and the heat of Athens on this still night. Beautiful night, certainly for watching football. Penalty shootout now to decide the 2023 Super Cup, and it is at Manchester City's end, the end closest to their supporters. Bono, who might be off to Saudi Arabia after this, might have a starring role to play. The man in black, the Moroccan World Cup goalkeeper, who is useful. And it's Haaland first for Manchester City, left-footed, low, sends Bono the wrong way, and it's 1-0 to Manchester City in the shootout.
Very, very good penalty for a man that's not really seen too much of the ball. He wraps his left foot around it, sends Bono the wrong way.
So 1-0 Manchester City, and the first man for Sevilla is Ocampo, Lucas Ocampos, who is just walking forward, number 5 on his back, golden number 5, taking his time. That's what they say, don't they? The experts on penalty shootouts, the people who've worked on the mind games. Take your time. So Ederson waiting on the line. There are City fans with the lights on their phones in the stands behind, but Campos concentrating on the ball, stepping out to his left and playing it low into the same corner that Haaland scored. Ball in the net, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, the most important thing when you're taking a penalty under pressure is when you're walking up to the ball, make sure you're decisive and do not change your mind, and that was a very good penalty from Campos, who's played really well tonight. He's deserved that.
Yeah. Alvarez next for Manchester City. So Haaland has already put the ball in the net. 1-1 after a penalty each. And Campos actually still down there and celebrating, and he actually walks across and shakes hands with Alvarez as he's walking back to the halfway line. Alvarez might have scored this before Campos actually gets back to his teammates. Alvarez, short run up this, right-footed. Bono holds his hands high, and Alvarez steps up and drives it high. Again, goalkeeper goes the wrong way, to his right, and the ball went to the goalkeeper's left. 2-1 City.
Oh, that is a penalty. That is a proper penalty. High right, top corner. Bono had no chance. Well, they're jinxing it for Man City. I get the feeling Ederson's more capable than Bono in the back of the net. I think he looks like he could make a save.
It's an interesting one, this. I'm not sure Rafa Mir will have touched the ball, having come on as a substitute in added time, and he's going to take the second penalty for Sevilla. Standing on the edge of the area, standing up tall, and up he comes, and that's an excellent penalty. Again, Ederson goes to his right, but the ball high to the other side into the top corner, and it's 2-2.
Well, Alvarez times 2, because that was a better penalty, and that was right in the top corner. You can't save those.
Now, one of the big summer signings for Manchester City from Chelsea, Mateo Kovacic. Lots of experience, the number 8, walking forward briskly, receiving the ball and placing it on the spot. So 2-2 in the penalty shootout after it finished 1-1. This is 5 Live and Radio Manchester. Drama unfolding. Kovacic, right-footed penalty again. Up he comes, and he goes down into the bottom left corner as he looks at it. And again, the goalkeeper goes the wrong way. Went the other way this time, Bono. 3-2 Manchester City.
Well, the unwritten rule when you're taking a penalty, if you hit the side netting, goalkeeper's got zero chance, even if he goes the right way. If you hit the side net, and especially into the bottom left, you're always going to score. The goalkeepers can't get there, and Bono went the wrong way.
Well, this man had to be taking one, didn't he? Sevilla's number 10 took over the captain's armband during the match. Ivan Rakitic, the great Rakitic of Croatia, and he also very, very coolly taking his time here. It's almost in slow motion. Rakitic, this to make it 3-3 in the penalty shootout. Ederson, lots of movement on the line, arm movement. Rakitic right-footed, high above the dive of Ederson to his right, but the ball in the net, and it's 3-3, and just a little punch of the air from Rakitic.
Well, they're more or less copying Man City's penalties, because again, when Kovacic put it into the side net, and Rakitic has done exactly the same thing. Superb penalty. Grealish up next.
So Jack Grealish now with the next set piece for Manchester City. The man who celebrated the treble with great gusto. Ederson has actually handed him the ball. He just wipes a couple of pieces of debris off the toes of his white boots and then backs away. Jack Grealish, hair swept back. Jack Grealish against Bono. Grealish just moves away slowly to his left and then comes up very slowly and then goes down the middle and scores, and that's 4-3 Manchester City.
Yeah, his mind was made up, even though he went on a straight run up and then bent his run. I think his mind was made up. He was going down the middle.
Well, bit of a surprise. Montiel is going to take the 4th penalty. The penalty expert, Gonzalo Montiel, also recently arrived in the match here tonight. Well, he did miss, remember, the initial penalty at the end of the Europa League final shootout, hit the crossbar with it, but then it had to be retaken because the goalkeeper was off his line. So Montiel wipes his hands on his red shorts and he comes up the Argentine, and that's an excellent penalty. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way, and a little jump and a punch of the air. Job done again by Montiel.
The 13-12 could be on.
4-4.
Kyle Walker next.
So it's now sudden death. We're still in the 5 penalties each, but all 8 have been scored, so it's now sudden death, and it's Kyle Walker. So the captain on the night. Kyle Walker, all of his experience, 33 years old now, places the ball on the spot. Bono just backs away and takes his position on the line. Kyle Walker waits with his hands on his hips. So the right-footed penalty from the right back. Up he comes and strikes it. Just under the and in.
Lucky
Bono,
man.
and it's 5-4, but that was a near thing.
Lucky man. He went bottom left and he didn't hit it in the corner. Goalkeeper actually dived a little bit sort of too far and it went under the keeper. City get lucky.
5-4 in the shootout.
Goodell up next.
And the central defender, Goodell, the rugged Serbian, has to score this, otherwise it's Manchester City's trophy. And the pressure now is piled on the Sevilla number 6, who backs away to the edge of the area. Ederson, again the arms waving, it's like an aeroplane style movement. Little steps from Goodell, and it hits the bar! Goodell misses, Sevilla miss, and Manchester City win the penalty shootout here in Athens, and they've got the UEFA Supercup for the first time. And on the old run, the treble is being followed up with another European trophy here, and they are making the most of this. Manchester City dancing, a huge group together, and there we have it, 5-4 on penalties.
I mean, he's very, very unlucky, Goodell, with a penalty. He's gone for the top right-hand corner and he's hit the crossbar. And you feel for anyone that misses the decisive pen. But they've been a very, very good opposition tonight, Sevilla. They've played their part in a fantastic game. And City somehow have got over the line.
Sevilla, for the 6th consecutive time in this match, lose in the Super Cup match. And Manchester City have another new trophy. Champions League for the first time at the end of last season. Now the Super Cup for the first time at the start of this. And the celebrations for Manchester City. They love winning trophies, and they've got another one.
And they are properly celebrating. And why wouldn't you, Don, actually?
Oh, it's amazing. It's the first time they've ever been in this competition and gone on to win it. So that breeds confidence. It takes all the sort of negativity away. You know, for people that are thinking like myself, where I said before, they feel as though they're coming back to the pack. Well, in one game, after one Premier League game, they've now put a trophy in the cabinet, and a major trophy in the cabinet. So it's significant for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City.
And Neil Lennon, there were 4 very, very good penalties from City, and then the 5th one squeaked in.
You know when your name's on it, Choppers.
Yeah.
It was the worst struck penalty of the lot, but managed to get under the goalie's body, and then the next one, Goodell's hits the crossbar. But yeah, I can only echo what Don said. It was a great game to watch. It was fascinating. I think City will get a huge boost from this, whether they needed that or not. But they've won another trophy, and you can see how much it means to them. And now they'll go back, for a huge game on Saturday. But they'll be a lot more happier and content after winning that trophy tonight. You got a feel for Sevilla. They made a great sort of contribution to the game, and probably on the balance, the player deserved to win the game.
Just talk us through. A little bit of talk, Mark, that amongst Manchester City people, certainly among supporters, that when Manchester United did their treble in '99, they weren't able to win the Super Cup. They lost to Lazio and Manchester City. So the feeling was, well, we've done the treble that Manchester United did, but let's win this, to get another trophy in the air, and that's what they've done. So that'll be a little thing that they can say.
Well, we won the Super Cup and you didn't.
Well, you know what football supporters are like.
Yeah, I do. What are the scenes at the moment that you can see?
Well, we've just seen a picture on our screen that they are engraving the Super Cup, so they're getting it ready for the celebration. The usual scenes, all of the paraphernalia has been put down, a big white stage, there's a huge arch for the photographs, and the Manchester City squad and all of the coaches and all of the staff are together with Pep Guardiola involved in there as well.
All right, John and Don, thank you. Neil, thank you. I was starting to get worried it might go to 13-12, but it hasn't. Manchester City have won the Super Cup. They've beaten Sevilla on penalties. 5 Live Sport back tomorrow from 7 with all the latest from the Women's World Cup in Australia, a preview of the World Athletics in Budapest and the return of the Euro Leagues gang. Stefan Powell here at 10:30, but now the Football Daily Pod with reaction to England reaching the final with Jules and the team in Sydney.